Right, this is going to be another episode of Thorin's Big Brains. And on this particular one, we've got some people who you might know, I didn't say recognise there, because crucially, you will know Amazing. He was on loads of past episodes. He obviously does the watch parties with us on the Inside Esports project. But the guy that you might have remembered, but you didn't see, is you've never seen Keire on this show. Now, it's true. That's because he used to literally just be a guy from the Discord. And in fact, the whole selling point was, you can say what you want because you're not going to be in esports, are you? But apparently, the fame got to him, and suddenly I see, like, all of a sudden I see he's on EuroLeague, which is a show Rich does over on his channel. Now he has a camera. He even has a Twitter now. He never used to have a Twitter either. And on top of that, this is the maddest part of all, I will say, Amazing. Bearing in mind, I was bringing him on these shows as sort of like an oddity, almost some like Elephant Man character. Look at this guy from my Discord who's going to say anything he thinks. What's mad now is, when I've been watching these episodes of EuroLeague, you might not know this, Amazing, but like, Keire is sort of the co-host with Rich. And then every week they have like blockbuster guests. So like the first one was like Odoamne was there, and I was like, what is Odoamne thinking when it's just I want, does Odoamne at some point just message Rich like, who actually is that, by the way, in the other call? And then after that it was like fucking Soaz was on one. Yeah. Who was the most Fari, like Mate? These guys must just be thinking like, who is that fucking other guy though? Like, does he explain like before, like, this is a guy I know? Like, how does that work? You're just there talking to him.
Yeah, literally just invite me on. I go, all right, I'm Keire, and then they all ask like, oh, so what do you do in esports? I'm like, nothing.
Nothing.
There you go.
and then like a couple of Soaz are just like, oh, what the fuck?
I know. Especially because you come in with all fucking bold takes in it. It's like, well, what do you think, Soaz? I think this guy's an idiot and just shit at top lane. What do you think? It's like, what the fuck? Yeah. I know exactly where am I supposed to come in on that? Like, what the fuck? So anyway, he's now here, he's unleashed, he's got a camera, and obviously we're going to talk about LEC, the European division. Now, I actually think the playoffs we've got are pretty interesting in terms of the setups, because even though it's funny, one of the matchups, obviously the G2 Misfits one, most people I notice have given no attention at all, they just put it to one side. But I actually think we'll start with that one, because even though it's the simplest one in theory, like, spoiler, I'm pretty sure everyone, even Misfits, thinks G2's going to win that series. It's why G2 picked them. And obviously also, no one expected Misfits to have a top 4 seed again this split. Like, I know they weren't supposed to have one last split, it was even more crazy than they got on this one. So here's the angle I want to start with on this one is, all the reasons why people think Misfits can't win, look, there's very good like meta reasons and drafting reasons, but you have to actually like outline them all, guys. We can't just take for granted that everyone saw the regular season and knows how they play. We have to do the due diligence and explain what the problem is. So like, start me out, Amazing. Most people basically, the problem is this, all the credit I notice that the Misfits guys got, even though, like, in the game, obviously it was Verthion, it was Neon doing, like, amazing carries and doing fucking crazy team fighting and super great front to back, back to front and all that shit, right? But here's the problem. The other narrative that followed Misfits throughout the split was this will only work in BO1s, and it's mainly like the coaching staff's draft strategy that seems to have sort of shored the team up and made them dig. So most people basically think that like you can't do it like 3 games out of 5 in a best of 5. I get that sense that's where most people are coming down. Like maybe you can win a game, but it won't win like in the playoffs. Do you have a similar sentiment?
No, yeah, I do. Whenever I watch Misfits, the impression I get is that their strategies, their draft strategies especially, are maximizing their individual potential within the best of 1 system. It's not to counter the enemy team. They literally just go by what they think is good for themselves, what they think they can play, but they never really like interact with the enemy team comms or with the enemy team itself. So it's not like when they play against Rogue that they're like, oh, they're controlled, they have like a wildcard jungler. So if we just maximize, let's say, our late game team fighting and we don't fuck up early game, we're going to beat them. Now it's just like we're going to try to brawl for some reason at certain moments in the game, and we do it with a champions that we can play to our best potential. So for me, that's where Misfits is. I never have the feeling that they are independently smart. They're smart about the game, but they're not smart about their opponents. And I think in a best of 5 system, that's really like the opposite end of where you want to be, right? In a best of 5 system, you want to be smart about what the enemy can bring, and you want to counter every single individual thing, right? So you're basically prepared for everything. And I don't think that Misfits can do that, especially against someone like G2 who has so many different strengths that they can always rely on. Like we saw that Broken Blade could carry games, we saw that Junkers can carry games, Caps, even the bot lane flagged in Draven matchups can actually do well. So I just, like, in my head, I just don't know where the Misfits strength is coming from against anyone, honestly, in the best of 5 system.
What do you think, Keire?
I think this is Misfits' like hell matchup. I think against the other 2, it's actually possible. Like there's like a glimmer of hope. But every time I conceptualize this matchup, it's like absolutely hellish. Misfits are like the ultimate team in EU that like know the adage when you're like a not an elite team. Know thyself. Misfits know themselves super well most of the time. The problem is I don't think Misfits have ever won basically around carry tops. And if you think you're going to be bringing like carry tops into this matchup versus G2, G2 are like one of the only teams that know how to play around Broken Blade. They don't do it super well, but in a relative strength of Europe, they're like the best team at doing it. And so you start getting into this draft loop in my head that is horrible. You go for the tank matchup. Then Zanzara, do you take the Trundle? If you take the Trundle, then that opens you up to the Silas. Like, it's just this constant like feedback loop of very, very, very like Sophie's Choice options every single time. With the limited champion pool for the top and the jungle, I just don't know where you go. And like, even if you think about something as simple as let's pinch ADC, like pinch the ADCs and that. That leaves you with nothing, because most of the ADC pool you can split 50-50 and you're like pretty happy. The only way I actually like see them like consistently winning games is if somehow Dylan Falco forgets to ban like Yumi like certain games, or like G2 come in with a relative meta read that's like way off. Like, as in, like, they think something very strange again. They've been scrimming against, like, Fnatic or Excel or something. They think some random shit's, like, really strong. They try and draft it 1 game, 2 games, and then, like, a third, and then, you know what I mean, Misfits sneak a third game or something. Like
the blind LeBlanc or something stupid.
Yeah, like, they basically they've been fed, like, a scrim environment that makes them think a certain set of, like, priority impacts is really strong, and they come into the series with poor feedback look. But with Captain Yankus on the team, and with Dylan coaching the team, I just don't think that's going to happen. That's like, I'm creating, like, this, like, dream scenario that I just don't believe is going to happen. So, it's really unfortunate, to be honest, but I just can't seem to... I think Misfits coaching staff can really, like, prove their worth here, because I think they have got like one of the hardest jobs any EU teams had in terms of, if this series is going to go long, what you plan to like draft game to game to game and adapting the draft for this team game to game to game.
Yeah, I mean, I actually was thinking of something today about this, because obviously people have emphasised that draft angle of this matchup so much, and Misfits in general. So I was watching recently that new LS video that came out. There's another one of those like 3-hour ones where he goes like super, like ridiculously deep in like his philosophy and stuff. But one point he was making that was quite interesting that I thought related to this was, and I actually thought he's got a banging point here, which is he thinks in draft, for example, one thing people should do, because obviously he comes from the like collectible card game world. Well, if people don't know, when you have your set of cards you do then, it's not just about what you play, it's about the order you play, because that's what will trick your opponent in the strategy. So one point he was making, I thought it's an amazing point actually when you think about it, and then people like Misfits don't do this is the flaw, is if you have like certain comps in mind, there are times when actually you should lead with like the least obvious ones, as in the champions within there that could fit into like 7 different comps, and it doesn't really give anything away about what you're trying to pick for, right? But if you do so, obviously you might have to like give up a priority pick to do so, because you might be picking some boring, like you might just pick like the Azir first or something, right? You know, if that can go in any comp. And basically his point was, if you do that, it makes it really hard for the other team to have a clue of what you're doing, so they can't sort of get ahead of you and shut down your comp. Dude, teams like Misfits, that's where I could see them fucking this series up completely. It's like you say, Keire, they're going to get what they want, so they might get the champion that Irrelevant wants, get Neon a good champion, but the problem then becomes, if those are like the first 2 or 3 picks, I can just see what your comp is now. Now I know what jungler to get out of the mix. Now I know like to get this fucking support out of the game. Like I can make it at that point, so like it's even harder for you to complete the comp. And remember, the way they're playing, I agree, the way they sort of mastered it, this is why I know it has to be the coaching staff, not the players, is the players don't play like they're just going to scale and win all the team fights. They just play normally, and then it's like the comp is the insurance policy that kicks in, and then they win if it goes late game. Like, the joke is, if you put these guys on the wrong champs, they will play the game and lose. I'm pretty sure of it.
Yeah.
Oh, I agree.
They're too front facing. That's the problem. They're like they do just show so much so early, because they're so desperate to get Vatio and Neon onto comfort, which is understandable, because I actually do think they are the best best 1-2 carry backline in the entire league.
In a proper team fight. Yeah. Sure.
I think they're the best. Once they have the 3 items, 2 items. The problem is they're let down by the relative strength of their auxiliary supports. As in, like, I personally think Mercer is one of the most improved players of the split. But he has been improved from he is absolutely fucking dog shit and shouldn't be allowed to play the game, to he is now not losing every single game for his team. So we've moved from one extreme of the scale to the other. Misfits don't set up like reliable dragons and they cover flanks and stuff. Like Caps loves flanks. Misfits are one of the laziest motherfucking teams on the planet for the Caps and flanks. Like Neon could be a great player. If Caps is coming off the wall from darkness, the motherfucker's dead. It doesn't make a difference.
You know, the other thing, I even said this on like someone inside, but I think it's so harsh, is like, dude, even when Misfits wins these games, no one ever actually says Mercer's name. They just say, like, Misfits is too good with Yuumi. And it's like, he's actually become like the meme of Yuumi. It's like, you know, there's a human trying to pilot that shit. Like, but the problem is, obviously, in their team, it's the ultimate Yuumi team, isn't it? Because you've got the two, like you say, super team fight carries. So you just put Yuumi on one of them. Whichever one's the most fed is now like 1.5 times stronger than he should be. He's just going to fucking dominate the fight. So, like, the stupid thing about that is, like, spoiler again if you're a fan, this sounds if it was a sports movie, like we've just found the secret strategy to win. That's not a strategy. The strategy isn't always get Keire, so I'm fed and I have 3 items on my mid and ADC in 25 minutes. You can't just do that. You can't just choose to be ahead every game, guys. And also, the other factor to me that we've got to shade into this is the G2 side. Mate, didn't Dylan Falco just basically show us like fucking draft Nirvana in spring? He figured out the whole meta and then ran through every team 3-0. Like, if there's anyone's going to fucking nail the draft, surely this guy. Like, he seems to know where his team is, what their identity is, and he's going to crush this draft, I think.
The one more thing is, and is another like problem, and this is going to be a big dichotomy for all the teams, depending on the prio from the scrims, which obviously I can't know, but it depends. I don't think Neon plays Draven. At all. I don't think he's played a single game of Draven this split at all, right? And Targamas and Flakked can play Draven lanes, right? Now, scaling sounds great and sounds fine, but that bot lane cannot lane. They cannot play out lane matchups. And if I actually think G2 can set up kill condition bot lanes, and I even think G2, even though Flack's a shitter, they can win through the bot lane through like the Draven pick. And if you're opening as Misfits and banning Draven and like Callista and stuff, so 2 ADCs on like the first rotation, that you're getting instantly into ultimate dicey territory in my head. Maybe they don't come in with that prio, but it's not. I just don't see it, man. It's
no, mate. I've just looked it up now. As far as I can tell, the last time he played Draven was in like fucking 2019 when he was in like the LFL or something like that, or EU Masters or something. So when he's been an LEC pro, which he's been for a few years, and people don't know, people often forget that about Neon, dude. They act like he just came in the league. Like, what are you on about? He was on like fucking SK and Schalke. He was on all the bottom feeder teams. That's how he got on Misfits, obviously. So like, no, this guy's been around, and also he's a known quantity, you know.
Yep.
Right. What about this then? Let's do the G2 side of it. Because another thing that I think people are like, even though it is a bit of a lazy narrative, like it's just a classic historical trend in the ULCS/LEC. Amazing, right? Not only is mid lane obviously going to be one of the most important roles, but jungle mid duo is always going to be a great way to win in Europe. And if you're G2, the brilliant thing is your roster alone means people always have got to believe you have a chance. So quite frankly, they look great now. But even if you didn't, these would be the two you'd expect could turn on the playoffs. Like, I feel like that's hard to beat already.
Yeah, no, it is, and it's also like in this specific matchup that it's like very different to, I think, for example, if it was gonna play Malrang or if they were gonna play like Razork, whatever it is, you have like such a known quantity in Zanzari, you actually know what he's gonna pick at all times, right? Like they're like he's on a rotation of like 3 champions, maybe 4. So it's Poppy, it's Trundle, it's Skarner, it's Vi at this moment, and it's Vi like kind of whatever. So you kind of already know like what you have to prepare for. So the 2v2s are set in stone basically. Any 2v2 that includes LeBlanc on your side is likely going to win as soon as Poppy is out, right? You have LeBlanc into Trundle, into Vi, into Skarner, that's winning to most cases. Same for Lissandra, same for Ahri. So all the champions that Caps already mains, basically, like, is already good in the 2v2 scenarios. So the only thing you have to figure out is what junglers you want to play against it, right? So once Poppy is out, well, Pantheon is pretty okay. If you want to play it, wouldn't prefer it on my behalf, but there's Elise now that's coming back into the meta, actually, because she got buffed, whatever it is, so she's actually pretty okay right now. You have Jarvan, you have like even the likes of Lee Sin back in the meta. Like, so you have a lot of 2v2 potential just around the mid lane. That's if you want to opt into it. If you don't,
mate, you've also just listed a load of Jankos champions right there, like Elise, fucking Jarvan. These are all these are all his champions.
And even Trundle, right? Like, Trundle is an overall counter.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Pretty good on him, and he plays it pretty well. And he also has experience playing against like those, almost like those, like, I don't want to say AFK junglers, but kind of like control junglers, like Zenzara, because he has fucking played against Xmithy like his fucking entire like career, basically. Once he went to international stage, and that he had the same experience with other people like that were pretty predominant in the scene, like Inspired and whatever. So the style of Zanzara per se is not going to surprise him at all. And Vito and Zanzara are not a 2v2 per se. They're more like a 1v2 and then an auxiliary piece, as you would put it, right? That is like doing other things away from mid lane, right? Because the mid lane 2v2 doesn't happen for them. Like Misfits doesn't really have a lot of jungle proximity around mid lane. They don't really make plays around mid lane. The mid lane champion pool is also not catered to the fact that they want to make plays around mid lane. They want to scale and they want to do something mid to late game, right? With the likes of Akali, potentially with the Zoe poke, whatever it is, right? So it's just a mismatch of styles, and it's also a mismatch of player skill, I would say, because I mean, Juggers and Caps together are just like even if Vito might withstand the pressure, I don't think that Zanzara will be able to.
No.
Come on.
Right, so there's even angles in this. Like, so for example, we were talking about like have Misfits prep for like a comp that they don't pull it all the time, but they can always go back to it. And for relative level of strength, you've still got Diana because the Diana nerfs haven't came through.
Okay.
So you still have the Dunk Bro combo where you have the Yone, Yasuo, mid lane combo with the Diana where they just like shit on people. How like you're going to opt into like the Akali, the scaling pick. Caps, Vito in terms of EU has been one of the best like team fighting players they've had. But I still do not consider him like an elite laner. Caps plays out many of the matchups still to have very relative like high standard, and so I don't actually think Vito's going to get as many like handshakes. And just as Amazing said, there is no Vito Zanzara 2v2 like synergy. Like those two, they have no synergy. They have no like 2v2 plan from the best I've seen. Their 2v2 plan is just fucking pray that Zanzara doesn't get invaded on every blue buff. It's like, does Jankos forget on this rotation? Oh baby, 100 gold. Like, and even you were talking about like the Pantheon, for example, Amazing, and you don't maybe not as big a fan of it. But even then, if you identify, for me, the way that Misfits want to win the game, you have with a tank with a possible tank top. Pantheon absolutely shreds tanks into fucking a million pieces now with his new itemization paths. You can have like 240 like armor tanks coming all the way down to like 60 armor with Pantheon. Like you've actually entered like silly o'clock. You have these champions that are supposed to sit there and tank and frontline for like a couple of seconds, and they turn into paper mache. It's super hard. And then even worse than this, and this is another one that's even more horrible, is Mersa does not have like it doesn't understand like roam timings. When his laner has like priority, Mercer will actually just like sit in lane with Neon and absorb XP. He won't actually go and like make a proactive play. Targamas has gotten very rough in the early split, but has just gotten better and better at this concept as the split has gone on. And so, like, what is the solution to this? If we've got Zanzara on slow clear like jungles, he's maybe onto a jungle where he's not that comfortable. He does the same fucking path every single game, and then you've got Jankos, Targamas invading him on like set objectives. Vito maybe doesn't have any priority. Like nothing adds up to Misfits winning here. It's literally go to Baron, go to Dragons, and fucking pray that you win team fights. And Caps is good at team fighting. Jankos is good at team fighting. It's like it's not just like these free wins. These gold leads could be massive by the time you make it to these dragons. 3, 4, 5,000 gold.
Well, the problem is exactly that. Like it's like the Misfits got really good over time, I would say, and at being behind, right? They're good at losing.
Yeah.
So like they're one of the few teams that is actually understanding. Well, okay, we have a scaling comp. So what do we not want to do? We want to literally limit the amount of interactions to a minimum, so we can basically control when they happen to a certain extent at least, right? So they happen at Dragon, they happen at Nash, they might happen at Herald, whatever it is. But overall, it does open them up to basically just have an open jungle. And a lot of teams nowadays, when I see this too, and I think it's actually predominant in EU especially, is that like besides maybe Razork, Gilius, and Jankos, I mean actually not even Gilius. So it's just Razork, Jankos, and Marang. No one really interacts with the enemy jungle on an individual level. So they don't try to invade. They don't try to go for level 3 plays. They don't go for like any kind of 1v1 interaction. And I think once people figure out that this is like the counter to basically having people try to scale forever, well, all hell is going to break loose for Misfits, right? Because they suddenly have no answer. Mercer's not going to answer the roams correctly, so Targamas is going to be ahead of him. Mid lane might be able to answer roams if he's on the right champions, but likely not. And jungle is going to be on champions that you can direct him into, right? You can say, okay, I don't want Zanzara to play Trundle and Poppy, so I can, let's say, I'm just going to ban Poppy and I'm on red side, and then he cannot blind pick Trundle either, because blind pick Trundle is terrible 1-2-3, and then in 4-5 you can ban it, right? If you blind pick Trundle 1-2-3, and the enemy doesn't have any melees yet, like pick a full range comp and that champion is entirely useless, right? So in the same kind of happens for Vi, right? Vi as a blind pick, it's kind of like in the same vein that if you pick a certain, if you just pick Tam Kench, whatever it is, or like certain champions that basically negate whatever she's doing, suddenly she's not a blind pick either anymore. So like anything you want to do against Misfits is basically centered on jungle, and it's really easy to manipulate the jungle matchup to your advantage and make the map a winning map for you past the point of recovery for Misfits.
I also found it really weird. Like, I get why people do it. Like, half of it was a meme. But you know that whole thing with the second Zanzara joined, because he's already popular, and especially for, like, his personality. People kept saying, like, it's a Zanzara diff where they kept winning all those games. It's like, what are you talking about? Like, first of all, like, even though Zlatan was pretty bad at the end, that's mainly because of the champion pool, which, by the way, just is Zanzara's champion pool, by the way. Like, those three champions, just, like, the joke was Skarner isn't even in the pool, but you could play it. Like, he only had 2 champions, and then he had Skarner as well. Like, the joke is, that's just, like, making Zanzara look better. And even then, in the game, he wasn't, like, some really good jungler at these wins. Like, half the wins is, like, weird draft choices from the other guy, giving him his champions, or forcing him to pick Poppy, which I still don't understand. Like, he wants to pick that, you idiot, and then there's nothing that works against it. Like, so the whole thing confused me, because I thought fans just went down a cul-de-sac there. That was a dead end. There was nothing to that story, because if that story was true, we should now be talking about, and what will he bring to it? And he doesn't bring anything. Like, the problem is, like, essentially, as far as I can tell, I think they cynically signed him, dude, because they just thought, like, A, that is the champion pool right now in jungle, and B, we're selling the fucking squad anyway. Like, these players probably out here next year. Like, it's one last ride. Just bring in someone who can just get it done tomorrow, because, like, the problem with Zlatan as well was this. He had way more potential, like, upside than fucking Zanzara. Like, he could in theory have had a carry game or a pop-off game. In fact, if I knew Lee Sin was coming back at this, I'd even say just keep him, because that's the pack people don't know. People think what happened is Zanzara joined and they began winning. They'd already had like 4-0 2 weeks before that. Like, if you go back, they'd already turned it around, guys. In fact, the joke was, this is why I know Zanzara wasn't doing anything, there was even some games that Misfits won where Zlatan, fair fucks, even just like tweeted or said in an interview, like, I don't even know how we won, I was terrible in that game. So the joke is they were already winning without a jungler. So now they just got, like, not a jungler still, just a guy, just a fucking Skarner roaming around the map.
Zanzara does do a decent. Like, I mean, give credit. He does do a decent amount, but I do think that it's like as you said, like the draft choice of enemies is like, and we talked to Monte about this, right?
Yes.
That red sides literally fucking banned Trundle, and then they allowed a Poppy first pick. Like, if you ask any ERL team, if you ask any NA Academy team, if you ask any NA collegiate team, they'll probably tell you that you're really stupid and what you're doing is factually simply wrong. Because in the meta, currently, like the counter-picks Poppy are like they're basically dictated by what Peanut is. And Peanut is the only guy that actually understands the counter-picks for some reason. So he says,
dude, this reminds me of MSI, where I kept hearing from all these top laners who, spoiler, just don't play Gwen. It's all right, I've got all the Gwen counters, and then if you saw MSI, there were no Gwen counters. Like, if you just had the best Gwen, you win. I have the same vibe. Amazing. If someone starts telling me they've got all these brilliant counters for Poppy, it's like, we're in trouble already. Fucking hell.
They are counters. They just have to be good at them, right? Like when, for example, Peanut plays Skarner into it, right? He understands his role. Well, Poppy cannot ultimate me out. If she ultimates me out, she slows herself. I can speed up, and I'm gonna literally just flash ult her. And worst case scenario, I get flung back with her. That's the worst case scenario. Like, in the Trundle counter pick is basically you admit to that she's gonna have agency over you, but any single time you meet her, you can beat her, right? So that's what you want to play for. That's why some people actually transitioned into the attack speed, like the lethal tempo build too, to a certain extent, so they can actually just smack her in the head, right? So yeah, you have counters, but it's like if a player literally, and I fell victim to this because we all remember or like you remember at least, like the fucking 2014 dilemma of like, well, if I tell people I can play Skarner, Trundle, Poppy, and there's a trifecta of champions that you can like basically like like you can kind of build around. You can bend 2, pick 1, or you can just like.
Plus, I'll give you credit. Here's the thing: you at least said it when there was 3 bans. You couldn't know they'd use all 3. Like he's doing it in a 5-ban era. Like, bro, I can just ban all your shit out.
Yeah. So I don't know.
Fucking Chad. Fucking Chad.
He's smart. He's mind controlling the enemy into making mistakes.
He is smart. I know.
That is what the rest of the rest of the team of Misfits is actually doing too. Like, and I think that's where I see, like, and I'm obviously happy for the success they have, because I don't want to sound like a salty motherfucker because I stopped working for them.
Oh, they did a great job, yeah, of course.
But they did a great job. But it's like, I've seen so many teams operate the same way, right? And it's year after year, and they're they're a bit different to the Rocket of the past, but like kind of similar. The Momentum Rocket, for example, or let's say the what is another good example? Like the Immortals rosters with Dardoch, if I remember correctly. Like these rosters are solely reliant on like you being able to carry over your own momentum into every single game. And once someone figures out where that momentum is coming from, you're suddenly deadlocked. You don't know what to do anymore, right? And their momentum is basically coming from the fact that, well, we think we're really good at team fighting, so we want to scale and have XP, and that's it. And every time you break the habits, right? You break, like, for example, you say, okay, level 5, I'm going to invade bot side. I'm going to try to take 2 of his camps. I'm going to make that mid prio. Suddenly, the entire internal rotation is all out, right? Like, it's just gone, because then they have to reset and then reset the mind, because then suddenly they're further behind than they expected to be. So why do people not do that, and why have people not done that throughout the split? I don't know, but G2 will do it, and that's why I honestly think it's going to be a 3-0, and it's not going to be a pretty one either.
I'll also throw in as well, you'll notice we're actually even being fair to Misfits and assuming not only do they draft well, like they have done most of the split, but that they played the same way they did. Here's a spoiler, just like last split, I'd imagine they're going to be worse in the playoffs, I'm sorry. And I also imagine that probably applies to Vethio, because in the last split, like he obviously was unreal in the spring split, but like it wasn't like he was bad when he played against Fnatic in that upper bracket match. It's just that like he just wasn't like a 1v9, he was just just an alright player. Well, the problem in their team, as we've just discussed and waxed lyrical about, is there really are 2 players who win them these games. They are the win conditions. And so if either of those players, by the way, doesn't have to be a bad day, it's a couple of games off. It's done already. You're toast. And by the way, God forbid you have a bad game in game 1 against the reigning champions and people like Yankos and Caps who were just waiting to tear you apart. Like, that's just going to mentally boom you instantly. I even think, by the way, even though this is what happened to them last split, in a weird way, being in the upper bracket might also fool them, because you always think, I've got another life, haven't it? It's like, not really. Like in this playoff, spoiler, just like last one, you're probably just going out with 2 series losses and you're out. Like, so I hope they are going to be locked in, because like, unless they can do some miracles in this match here, like Misfits isn't going to be like I think most people have them as like a non-factor for these playoffs, you know. Yep. Like, put it this way, bearing in mind they obviously can't play the worst team, because the worst team's going to lose the Fnatic XL game. The problem is they're in that scenario like they were last split, where having a really good seed, it's great to get in the upper bracket, but it also fucks you in the sense that there's probably no one you can beat. Like anyone who could lose to you's out of the tournament already, aren't they? Like, you're going to have to play against like Fnatic or XL, whoever's good at that point in time. So it's just a tough scenario. Because I agree with you, Amazing. I don't want this to seem like we're just shitting on Misfits. Like, first of all, it's mainly because they're playing G2, they have no chance. And then secondly, it's actually credit to what they were able to do in the regular season, that they could put themselves in this position. Like, the point is, on paper, they have no business being here. So A+ job, by the way, for the coaching staff. I'd even probably give A+ for Vethio. Like, a couple of players nailed it. It's just, obviously, it's just not a world-class team. Basically, they already did their season. Twice finishing with the top 4 seeds, amazing. Get the upper brackets. Probably not going to go to Worlds, let's be real, but it's already been a good run. Let's flip over then, because obviously the other 2 series, I think there's loads we can go. Spoiler, here's the way I see the other 2 series. So obviously the other upper bracket match is the Rogue Mad Lions one. That's already a great matchup, because first of all, it was already a good matchup in the split anyway, stylistically. Obviously they might play in the finals. There's all the history between the orgs. But I think for me, that one's the one where that's the marquee matchup. That's the one I'm putting on the fucking poster. That's the blockbuster. You know, these could be the 2 great teams. The problem is the other game, the Fnatic XL one, that really is just like, so that's like that fucking Vitality XL tiebreaker of who made it in the playoffs. It's like, who's the worst of the 2 of you? Well, surely you mean who's the best? No, I mean for real, who's the worst of the 2? That's how I feel about that series. That's going to be a fucking war crime, that fucking series. Amazing. Like, so let's start with that one, get out of the way, because I think the Rogue one, the Mad one's the way more fun one to discuss, and we'll save that as the dessert. Right, this is the one where I do think there's loads of angles on this. Like, for example, like one thing I think's really interesting is, both teams sort of come in looking fucking terrible somehow. Because obviously XL, their problem is they used to be really good in the first half of the split and were probably the revelation of the split. And in fact, if you remember, loads of credit was going to them from that Korean boot camp and all the scout. Because it did seem like they sort of had a read on the meta and they understood what they were doing. The problem is they've lost so many games those last half of the split. Like, it feels very hard to like believe they'll win a best of 5, but then the joke is the question in a best of 5 is who you're playing, and then you look at Fnatic and it's like, man, I can't even say those things about Fnatic. Like, when were they ever good this split? When did they ever like get it together? When they didn't. So the joke is, I'm not even sure those count against XL that much. So I feel like for this one, this really is the one I think's the hardest to predict. By the way, I won't laugh at anyone for any prediction in this series. If someone thinks XL stomps, there's a world they probably do. If someone thinks Fnatic stomps, there's a world they do. If this is the worst series ever, it's 5 games and it's all shit like that Vitality XL one last year, that could also happen. So I'm totally open. We can go anywhere on this one. Keire, start me out. First of all, just set the table. Who do you actually favour here? Who are you favouring?
So
come on.
I think, right, okay, you should only predict on what you've actually seen. You should not like wish and hope for things that have not happened, right? And under that premise, right, XL should win. Caveat at the top. Finn can fucking solo lose this entire series. That guy is... Right, people talk about humanoid running it down, okay? And he's been doing a bit of sprinting. He's got his new Nikes on. He's been going down the 100-metre track. He's been getting really, really pumped up for playoffs. But my God, is Finn shit.
Oh, mate, I wonder if you saw this. Here's what I'm wondering about. Dude, the reason I'm surprised you say that. The reason I'm surprised you say that is because when I said that on some of the inside, best on Nation, one of the two, dude, everyone was against me. They're all like, wow, it's been way too harsh on Finn. I was like, mate, that's the guy who's just feeding these games away. Because, listen, Mickey gets it when he does a flash in and dies, but like, Finn would just be straight up just losing the game from like beginning to end when it's mental.
And that's the problem. Wonder if he has it in himself to, like, you know, do it, can Solo win this entire series by just like crushing Finn's nutsack along with Razor, because they finally like fucking managed to actually.
Amazing. When I told you that whole thing before about how like it's a different dynamic and the other person who's famous wants this is why, mate. Obviously, listen, if that was phrased by certain analysts in League, they would say, you know, they will control them completely and not give them any chance to get any kills or control the map. But obviously, if you were just talking with friends, you would say they'll just stamp on their nutsack, wouldn't you? That is how you would say it, to be fair. Come on.
Is that the worst punishment you can imagine? Is that what it is?
All of Finn's good qualities are gone, right? So I can give you like the breakdown. Like one of Finn's best qualities was he had a large pool of champions that he himself was comfortable playing. Yep. You can talk about the quality of playing them, right? That has decreased because you've seen him in these counter-pick matchups. He played that Aurelia game, solo lost it. He used to be one of the only EU top laners at the time that understood that if you actually back off from the turret, and just like walk away from the dive, the XP and the team's tempo loss of attempting to dive the turret is actually worth more than you dying, losing all the XP.
Yes.
You can stay in the solo lane matchup. You can your team can make the opposite side play because Mark Noon and Nukeduck understand these concepts, and so it was one of the best pairings. He knew to walk away from the turret, and Mark Noon and Nukeduck knew to make the tempo play on the other side of the map. Right? All those are gone. All those factors.
What happened?
Yeah, he's dog shit. I don't know what happened. He just stopped doing it, bro. I can't tell you why he stopped doing it, bro. Why does Mickey X run it down 1 in 10 as Nami, literally walking into a Draven, getting his fucking face crit off? Why does he do it? He knows I am not Mickey X.
By the way, that is one area, since everyone always gives him credit, that's one area where I'm going to, instead of speculating and giving him credit, I'm actually going to speculate, because he's a mate of mine, and I'm actually going to give Nelson a little bit of stick for that. Mate, that was one area where I've always said the downside of having Nelson is this. Yes, he's going to go into the Asian region, LPL specifically, and he's going to know from all his like little fucking LMS Mafia guys like exactly what all the picks and scrims are. He's going to know what the strongest lanes are, by the way. But here's the problem. This is exactly where you've got to know when not to listen to him. Because I'll guarantee he's the one who told fucking Patrick and Mickey X to play that Lucian Nami lane. And it's like, brother, no one in the West can play that. Get that the fuck out of LEC. Like, that is a terrible play. Like, I know why that's amazing with the best ADCs in the world and fucking amazing support player. Like that, like as you're saying there, Keire, like that was just a recipe for disaster when they were playing shit like that.
So I was looking at the stats again, you know, just like for reference, you know, the Nami game, he went 0-10. Game afterwards, he goes 0-3-4. Next game, he was 0-6-7. Next game, he's 0-7-1. Next game, he's 1-6-11. That's a window.
See what I mean?
Yeah.
Well,
Dude, this guy should have an appointment in The Hague. He should be fucking in front of... So, after the first game, why did you continue to pick the champion, though? So, fucking this is outrageous.
EU's two greatest support players, Hylissang and Mickey X, are basically in a conversation going, I'm shit, how shit can you be? Oh no, I can be way more dog shit than you. Their level that they two just keep running it down. It's like, you think you've entered upset a couple of times? Wait until I show you what I can do to Patrick. Oh, 1 in 10, baby. These motherfuckers are... That's why I'm saying this entire matchup is a fucking mess. But the thing is, XL does have fundamental systems through Nukeduck and the mid lane that they can fall back on. When you get into like panicky situations, these close situations, and Fnatic doesn't have systems. They have fuck all. The systems don't exist. Like Razork doesn't have synergy with Hylissang. He doesn't have synergy with Humanoid. He doesn't have synergy with any motherfucker. Like I don't know what piece Razork enables as a jungler on Fnatic. I see him go top lane. I see him like being near Wonder, and then like nothing happens. And there's this dichotomy of non-stop feeding from certain players on both teams. I genuinely just don't know who's going to win. The only thing that's really interesting, and it is actually really, really interesting about this game, is it might end up so bloody that Patrick and Upset just end up like attempting
they could just carry all the games.
Attempting to out-carry each other. And one of the really sad factors right now with the high premise on enchanters and stuff like that is one player might actually be playing better within a game, but his like co-partner ends up like just fucking him so badly that he can't do the game. But seeing those two players, will they handshake the Sivir Zeri? Will they handshake the different supports? That's really interesting. The only thing I would premise is Fnatic aren't as comfortable as at using the Draven lane as Patrick is. Upset can use... Upset can do it, and I actually trust, in some ways, do trust Upset's ability to do it. He's not the best Draven player in the world, but he can play it. He has it within his wheelhouse. But if you look at the way Fnatic won all those later games, okay, do you think Upset could have done those things on Draven? Or did it have to be Zeri? Or did it have to be Sivir? Because that can just be banned, and you can give him Draven knowing that, like, yes, he's like can get a lead and stuff, but like people have been talking about Upset, right, being this really conservative player, and yes, he is really conservative. He's sometimes overly conservative, sometimes. But if you look at the state of Fnatic, like people are complaining he doesn't.
He can't afford to be conservative, I would say.
Exactly.
Because if you look at some of the engages that Wonder and what's his name, fucking Humanoid have been doing, they are abysmal. Go watch the Wonder's Gragas game. People were complaining that Upset didn't follow up Wonder's Gragas ult. The last 7 actually done nothing. They categorically done nothing. They either hit spell shields, moved no one, or completely missed. So what was it to follow up? Fuck all. Like I genuinely do not understand it. The player strength goes to Fnatic, and if it ends up as a bloodbath series and there's no system from XL, they can run over the top of them. But
that's exactly
XL have it.
I mean, that's how I see it too. It's like the system thing, and like whether or not they are valuable is like the question of the series. I would say, like and that's actually been a pet of mine with Youngbuck in general, and like Youngbuck and Nukeduck teams, I guess. Because they have a very similar style to begin with, is that like they have this kind of like role player mentality, like that everyone has to do their job and whatever it is. But like sometimes you over rely on other people to do their jobs, and you like trying to facilitate too much, and everyone is like, oh, you're trying to interlink too much, and at some point the game slows down too much, and you don't really have playmaking anymore because at some point you're like you're not creative enough anymore, right? And I think that may actually come back to bite them in this series if it happens to be a very, very bloody one, and especially if the jungle pool for this series specifically is going to evolve into something like Hecarim, Jarvan, whatever it is, like some beastly junglers who are just going to run around the map trying to make plays, right? I think in these cases, Markunas are going to be able to follow up and make the right choices more often than Razork. Because Razork, like as little respect as I have for him as a player, because I simply don't think he's good, and I don't think he should have been signed by Fnatic. I do think that his strength is that he can be relentless, but also mindlessly relentless in a way. So whatever he does, he just keeps on doing. Whether it's wrong or right, he would keep on doing the same thing. And if it works out once for one game of that series, it will work out for the rest of the series too. So I think that's where I see their advantage potentially. And Wunder, honestly, is also Wunder and Razork actually have a decent amount of like playmaking together. I mean, the last game in the tiebreaker game, they did allow Irrelevant to kind of go 0-4 in lane. So they have some synergy there. And I think these are only two members that can synergize on the map when it comes to the players. So I think that's if the top side of the map becomes too heavy, then again it's going to be something like similar to how the tiebreaker game went for Misfits. Will go the same for XL, where they're going to lose top side a lot, and I don't think that XL has comeback potential that Misfits has as a team because they simply play different champions, and they do a lot worse under pressure of getting outscaled, I would say.
Yeah, there's a bunch of angles on this one. Like, for example, my problem is when I try and think of all the factors, a lot of the factors that go to XL's are things that are like you say, they have a system, they have an identity, each player knows how to play. Like, there's not even one player they have to play around that carries the game or whatever. The problem is, though, there are a lot of factors which just by default go to Fnatic. Like, for example, I would say experience has to be on the Fnatic side. There's one, like, look, they might play badly, but they're not going to be scared to play the game. Like, they're going to play the game. This is an opponent I'm sure they feel like they can match up with. If you want big game players, that's going to have to go on the side of Fnatic as well. Yeah, they might be in terrible form, but you just need one of those guys to win you one game. Like, as much as everyone... Like, listen, I actually think the humanoid running down is the worst because he's the mid laner. But if you want to actually look at, like, just, like, inexplicable deaths, Hylissang has some really crazy ones. Like, but at the same time, he just has to hold it together for, like, one game, and he can solo win you a game, of course. In fact, I even think of XL, and I think to myself, think about that series... where Rogue played against Fnatic in spring. And obviously, initially, Fnatic was winning those games, right? They were close games, but they were winning the games, right? One of those games I remember was one where Hylissang just picked Pyke and was like, mate, the stuff he was doing in like the first 4 levels, I play Pyke loads and so on. He would never even try and do this. Like, he wouldn't even do this in solo queue, mate. Like, he was just playing super disrespectful. Well, here's the thing. If you do that against a team like XL, you can break these guys' mental, mate. These aren't like the guys with the strongest, like, fallback mentality in the world. I even think if you look at the split, they were one of the teams early on that had a really good early game and they were good in the mid game and then they just used that edge and won the game. I don't know if they're going to play from behind to do that. So if I'm Fnatic, I almost would even tell these guys, by the way, just go fucking nuts in this series. Do whatever you want. Like, we're not going to come with the gameplay. It's the opposite. Just imagine it was a solo queue game and you're trying to get ahead. Win the game. But in fact, you know what? Even be cynical. Like, if you're Razok, if one lane's fucked, mate, it's like solo queue. Forget about it. Go to the one that has a chance to win. Get that guy ahead. If you can get Humanoid a kill, get him a kill. Give him a chance. If you're Humanoid, by the way, look, we sat on you for the whole split, mate, and you're going to play this way. So fuck it. Keep doing it. Go try and dominate the game. You might die and feed, but you've done that anyway. So go try and do the same shit, but get the kill this time. Basically, the problem I have with him is this. I feel like those seasons when people used to do the meme about caps, that it was like craps and claps. But the joke is there's never like the clap side on the Humanoid at the moment. That's the problem. Like, he's going for the plays, but they never work. So if that can ever work even 1 or 2 games, again, suddenly the series gets closer. And then the one last thing for me, like I say, along those lines is, the difference is, I imagine Fnatic's even coming in with like dysfunction. I doubt they're happy with the team. But whereas XL is the team where I bet in game 1 they believe they can win the series. But if you break their mental, that's the other way I could see them losing. If they like sort of like lose game 1 in heartbreaking fashion, or someone steals a fucking Baron or something, that's where sadly the strength of the team is that we play as a team and we don't win one. That's the problem, mate. The good thing about having one super carry is he can pull your ass out the fire. XL has to win as a team, you know.
Yeah.
The other really scary, one of the weird things about Humanoid like right now is like, and it is very like strange. If he does actually just like stop dying to like these lane tendencies, and that is a bit just like saying ignore something really fundamentally flawed about a player, but
it should be possible though, surely.
Yeah, like, because it's how, because the thing is how outrageously obvious. It's like when people talk about like the memes, like just ban X, or just do X, or just do things. It's like, yeah, but like Humanoids is like insane. It's like, just look at the minimap. You're a pro player being paid to play huge amounts of money. It's like, and you had these tendencies before. We're not like asking you to just, you know what I mean, like lane against Rookie, lane against Knight, like fucking side lane perfectly. It's like, die to a support roam that you see on the minimap coming. I don't think that's the biggest ask imaginable. When you go,
you think it's a small ask, and I would agree with you, but
it's not. I
can tell you from experience of playing with a lot of weird, like when specific laners, it is like, okay, how do I explain players? Like, players can be like, for example, I would say like someone like Mithy or me, like we're cerebral players, right? Like our strength doesn't come from our hands, quite frankly, because we don't have any at this point in time, you know. Like, but we could literally operate the map like just by by looking at the mini map, would exactly know what kind of movements would be happening at some point. But with a lot of laners, especially nowadays, and I think this is one of the evolution that, like, I don't know what happened, but these people literally look at their individual matchup and they don't move their eyes. They do not move their eyes. It's literally locked camera spam. Like, for example, Razorg is actually one of the players that I had to, like, when I coached him, I had to literally tell him, like, not to use locked camera anymore. I was like, what? Like, not to shit on the guy, but you have to understand, like, it's like, this is literally the new upcomings of, like, certain players that, like, these tendencies that they have, they're being taken for these tendencies. That's why they're being signed. They're being signed for them. They're being signed and they're being put into teams because they think that for some reason they can, like, their solo queue houses, which basically fostered those tendencies to begin with, will somehow then evolve into something higher. You know, I'm not saying that the humanoid has not been higher, because he has been, right? Which is why it's actually confusing, but people have really fucking weird habits, and it's really fucking hard to let go. And it might actually be a reaction to the surrounding in the humanoid's case. Like, and I think the entire team is like volatile as fuck. His entire team doesn't make sense. Like, none of his teammates make sense besides Upset. Razorg doesn't make sense. Wuna doesn't make sense. Hilly, out of all the people, makes the least amount of sense at this point in time. So Humanoid is basically left on an island, and he looks at his entire surrounding. He doesn't understand the rhythms of the other players. He doesn't understand how to play with them, and he feels like that he's, at least from watching him, he feels like he's always like on an island, like individually as well in the team. You know, like, it just doesn't feel like that he's interacting with anyone on any human level in any kind of way.
It's also like some of the one of the weirdest things is like, so like Humanoid will like play like certain matchups, and I'm maybe like over exaggerating here, but I genuinely do not think I've ever seen like Razork come to like Humanoid's lane to like fix like a losing lane matchup to get like fake priority, you know what I mean, like to like push it in and then go and do something. Because when I think about Humanoid on Mad, I actually what was really interesting was I seen a player that understood an Eastern concept, but like in the West. Mad understood like jungle quadrants. Kaiser, a lawyer, Humanoid, understood like jungle quadrants and how to like invade and isolate jungle quadrants and take jungle gold off of like junglers. That was one of the things that they like managed to catch Damwon like out with like loads. Because I think Damwon Gaming like didn't think that Mad Lions understood these concepts, and then like Kaiser would literally be with a lawyer in the jungle behind Canyon, and like Canyon would like die to like a 2v1 movement. And a lot of the people around the scene, because I'm not got privy to this, was attributing lots of this stuff to Humanoid because a lawyer was a rookie and Kaiser was supposedly super quiet, that like he doesn't really speak within the team. That was the husk, the shell of the things that's going on there. The problem is...
Oh, and by the way, remember, the spring split for Mad seemed to confirm that to those people, didn't it? So they were like,
100%. And now we see a lawyer is replicating a similar style with Niski now. Yes, Kaiser isn't as into the system as much, and I think that's because Kaiser, I think Kaiser's not been playing as well. That's also because Unforgiven as a rookie ADC is a lot more lane orientated. But just in general, I think Kaiser has like dropped off. But you now see that it could possibly have been a lawyer. But even stranger than that, all the Fnatic players said that it was Humanoid attempting to like teach them macro, how to understand like side waves and like how to understand push them. And then when I actually watch the games, Humanoid understands these concepts like somewhat. I don't know if he's like just tilted and he's just like fucked off with the team. But it's like none of the players, remember, this is what, how many games? Like almost like 50 games of LEC, including all the playoff games, right? And the most like basic of like team concepts, Fnatic do not understand them. When Fnatic's behind on gold, like what does Fnatic do? They don't have like these comeback plays. They don't have like these things that they can fall back on and rely on. They're one of the worst teams of doing the roguelike thing, of just allowing themselves to be bled out and just slowly lose a game, 1,000 gold lead at a time, and then they take some desperate fucking shitty fucking fight that like nobody thinks is good, and then the game's just like over.
Here's what's mental, right?
I just don't get it.
I've got some info for you here that has aged very poorly. Because here's what's mad. When you said that, you just triggered me, because I actually have never brought this up on a show. But during both splits this year, spring and summer, like one of them was like a month ago, by the way, Humanoid has done interviews where the quote is mental. So in spring, this was one of his quotes. This is before playoffs, obviously. He goes, where was it? Let me find it a second. Yeah, there we go. In spring, he goes, I think no team except Fnatic has an idea how to rotate around the map past 15 minutes. And usually it's pretty free to gain really big advantages unless you're far behind. But I think if we're even, it's pretty easy for us to win the game from like 15 to 20 minutes. That's spring, right? So you're probably thinking, well, to be fair, they were one of the top teams in Rogue. You know, they thought they'd get it together for playoffs. But in summer, though, he's definitely not going to be saying anything crazy in summer. Here's the one in summer. In summer, and this is from, let me see what the date is on this fucking thing. Because I hope it's egregious as fuck. Probably going to be. This is from the 7th of July. So, okay, we're talking about like the beginning of the split, to be fair. He goes, I'm someone who's usually trying to say what we're doing overall, the big picture in the mid-game. I basically say which side we are playing on and which wave we are going to push, team dynamics. And then he goes, the bottom 5 teams don't really know what they're doing. It's like... Well, that's certainly rich, isn't it? Like, because he's implying he caught shot calling the whole team there. Listen, the joke there would be there's certain times you don't want to take credit for what's happening in a team. You know what I mean? Like, that's one. And then secondly, the idea, like, I just like the idea he's in these games that Fnatic's playing. He's watching these games in VOD review. And then he does an interview like, you know those bottom teams? By the way, by the end of the split, you were one of them. They don't really know what they're doing, do they? What do you think you're doing? Well, he's right. He was right, yeah. He was. He just didn't realise he was included in that mix, yeah. By the end of the split, I was fair.
It's really strange because, not that people overblow it. Like, Humanoid's tendencies are like egregious for a player that, you know, like, people have moved like the goalposts.
Oh, they have. They're trying to sort of shade in, like they're trying to think like, oh, maybe he's going for players though, or you know, maybe he's just doing confident. Oh, there's been a million excuses.
Okay, I'm just going. Can I just quickly analyze the entire Fnatic sedation? Okay, I'm just going player. Hilly is fucking insane. He doesn't like. He's fucking insane. Upset has gotten too soft ever since he got married. Like, no offense, but he doesn't, like, whenever I see him in interviews, he doesn't have the same kind of like aggressive fire.
I like the way you said no offense there. I know what you mean by that, but it's like, if he wants to take offense, he can definitely take offense. No, to be fair.
Okay, I'm saying. No,
I know what you mean. Sure.
But like kind of the timer kind of fits, you know, in terms of like,
yes,
he has been very, very, like, when I hear him speak, I don't hear the same upset that I played with. You know, this guy was a dick, but it was like it was good, you know, because he had to do that. And then Humanoid, I think he's way off place. Like, this is just not his team. Razork doesn't know what he's doing. Top lane, I think Wunder's actually fine. And I think out of all, like, I think Yamato, like, I think he really just has no idea how to get the team together. Like, and I think if he wasn't like so popular in the scene, people would be a lot more harsher on this Fnatic iteration right now than they are currently, and they would blame him a lot more because. If you look at the quality of the players, and if you're really honest about it, you have clear-cut win conditions in terms of how the players can operate. Wunder has shown that he can play a passive style, but he can also play a carry style, so Wunder's flexible enough. Razork literally needs to have a streamlined game all the time, cannot leave anything up to chance. You literally have to tell him like tell him everything or nothing. These are the 2 things you can do. Like, so tell him like 6 camps into crab, and that's what we do every single rotation, and then we go to teamfights later. And botlane still is winning. They play a lot of winning matchups. They're not bad in lane. So you have the win conditions. It's really a clear cut how Fnatic is supposed to play. Like, play around the bot lane, let Wunder do his own thing, and that's it. But you're literally you have no identity. The entire team has no identity. It's literally just brawling, looking for something, and if it works, it works. Why are you not creating an identity around the members that you have, and you have known for quite a while now too? You know Upset, you know Hylissang, and like, quite frankly, everyone knows Humanoid too. It's like, you have the identity already put in place. Why don't you act upon it? Just do it.
That's also, by the way, one thing I wondered about with this squad, because in my opinion, one of the biggest problems anytime you make a super team, and especially if it's like a true super team, like everyone was a star in a different team, it's like, mate, that makes it way harder to just be cynical and band-aid like Misfits did. Like, the difference with Misfits is they can just go into the room and go, look, let's not be silly. Obviously, we're playing through Vethio and Neon. Like, you can't have that conversation like for months and months if you have a super team, because you can't go to like one of those, try being the coach who sits Hylissang down in week 3 and it's like, right, no more aggressive moves from you in the... Like, good luck having that conversation. That's his whole career, isn't it? Like, you're asking him to do something completely different. But the joke is, if you took the nameplate off, you'd do that instantly. Like, if this was some LCS team, dude, and you had the nameplates off, these coaches would have, like, put these guys on strict behaviour. Like, you're only playing these champions. Don't even flash, maybe, this guy. Like, you know, they'd have all sorts of mad rules in place for you. But because of the names... the joke is, I bet even Yamato looks at the names like, oh, they should actually be really good, actually. actually. Oh, wait a minute, that's my team. What the fuck? Like, it's mad. Like, I even keep getting tricked and thinking they should be way better than they are, but they're not. They're clearly not.
How talkative is Upset in the game? I don't know about like Fnatic.
Extremely talkative.
He's really talkative because that's such a weird one, because like when I think about teams in the West that have historically played around like bot lane, like Razork goes bot side and goes bot lane a lot.
Oh, quite a lot, yeah.
But I find his ganks like very ineffective, or sometimes like he's there at like the wrong time. It's like just before like the minion wave crashes, he then gets seen on a ward, and then the jungler has enough time to like path down and create like a 3v3 dive situation. There's loads of small little like micro tendencies that are very, very weird. Like when you think about some of the teams that play around the West, like for example the infamous all the TL teams that played around like Doublelift, right? Doublelift like knew exactly what he wanted. They knew the ADC like matchups, and that entire team was like caricatured around giving Doublelift like gold, taking it to Dragon and winning the fights, right? And it was like a fallback thing that they could always go onto, right? Now, League of Legends has developed a lot from then. It's a very simplified like game. But if you are Fnatic, it is a system of something. It is something you can fall back on an attempt to do in the worst case scenarios, because you're now Fnatic playing. For me, you have a Fnatic team that is going into playoffs that has no theme and no style. It is just and no personal play. It's really, really strange to me. I genuinely couldn't describe it to someone how they play.
And usually, like when you don't have a theme, when you don't have a style, it's like because you have a lack of understanding of like obviously yourself, but it's also like of what the meta is about. Because quite frankly, there's like everyone has their own interpretations, right? Like they're okay. For example, one team thinks that, well, we're gonna play top side because we do believe that it's the strongest lane right now. Other teams like we play bot side, we do this and whatever. But Fnatic, I don't know if they have disinterest in like understanding the meta, but it's like they are. you know, how you sometimes have too much of a good thing, and I think that's what it's at. Everyone on the team can actually literally play make. Everyone of the they all have the potential because all the players have the mechanical ability. But if you don't streamline it in any kind of way, if you literally don't like have something like a balance between Excel and Fnatic, that's why Excel and Fnatic is like a really fucking good matchup. It's like because in opposite ends of the spectrum, right? Excel too static, Fnatic too unstatic. Like they have no identity, nothing that is going for. Which is why you want to balance the two things, right? You want to make sure that you have something to fall back on, like a style that you can identify for yourself, that you're like, man, this is what we can do every single game, and that's what we can fall back upon, and that's what our routines come into place, and then we can adapt from there, right? Like we can do certain things on top of it, right?
For example, point.
Yeah, exactly. Like you need the anchor. You need the anchor, right? Oh, that was a weird movement, but whatever.
Yeah, no, I get you. I actually agree. And what's scary is we've had two splits with no anchor and just fucking chaos and madness. Yeah. And then you've also, this is the other thing, I don't like to just like blame coaches because I do not know like what they do. I don't know what analysts do. I don't know if it's players telling him out and he's like trusting his players like X and Y. But people sometimes, in terms of parity of team strength, overblow draft importance sometimes. Because like, you know what I mean, you could be talking about the people who describe a draft as a 90% like winning, right? And an ADC just like fucking like gets jumped on and he instantly dies. And it's like, well, they somehow found the 10%. How convenient. Oh, and they found the 10% twice, or they found it 3 times, right? Anyway, but Fnatic have done some egregious drafting, in my opinion, that is just like, first of all, a lot of the champions and that don't even make sense, and then they also don't even make sense around the context of where your team identity should be at the time. The one that instantly comes to mind, just because it's so recent, is the Ezreal game for Upset. And the tiebreaker against Misfits, right? That is, if you start seeing that type of stuff in this BO5, I would start getting really worried really fucking quickly, because for me, that it's got to be a consistent damage like ADC. It cannot be like a conditional ADC like Lucian Nami. If I start seeing Lucian Nami from Fnatic, I'm starting to get really fucking scared, because that's like another pick that requires like good understanding of like mid game power spikes and stuff like that. Like
I don't want to interpret it in like a lot from the small snippets that I've seen from Fnatic on there, like that they upload in terms of voice comms, but what struck me the most is like, I mean, I didn't really hear much from Yamato, but like few bits were like the usual that you know from Yamato, like whatever. But the bits that really worried me about Fnatic and really made me like kind of like question their entire system is like there was a situation that played around it was Elder Dragon, right? And Razor kept hitting it, and it basically fell down to 3k. And like he kept saying, like he kept talking to Upset, Elias, I'm hitting Dragon. Let's go for Dragon is reload. Kept saying this, like, and there was like no. It didn't feel like that they were literally playing the same game. It felt like that Upset wasn't looking at them. It felt like that Ivan, like Razor, wasn't looking at them. And it's like people playing entire different things.
Yeah.
And when it comes to then the greater thing is like, well, to me that's a theme that obviously we already just discussed has been a theme for them the entire year. But it's something that's so intrinsic to some of the players that I don't think that some of the players can actually establish like a system for themselves, like a overarching thing. And I think that's where, at least like in terms of where my blame goes, is literally, I think Brazil may have been just a bad pickup for Fnatic, quite frankly. I think it's maybe the one thing that like is like a thorn in my eye whenever I look at the roster and I see Resort. It's like, it doesn't make sense to me. It just doesn't. And then I look at the coach too, like Amado, quite frankly, like his most recent successes and the highest amount of success was when he had extremely good, smart players being able to kind of like dictate whatever is happening in the game, right? When he had Bwipo in the jungle, he was really good. When they didn't have Bwipo, like basically shot call the entire map, whatever it is, it felt really weird. And then the same thing when they had the Vitality rosters back in the days, right? When he was successful. Well, as soon as they had like basic players that couldn't communicate as much, when they cycled through Gilius and then Kikis, and then they went to next jungler that was like next year was it was a Korean. What was his
Trick.
face? No, it's not Trick. What
Spirit?
No, it was like season 9 Vitality. Who did they have in the jungle?
Oh, Malrang. No.
Mowgli. There you go.
Mowgli,
the old freaks jungler. Yes.
Mowgli. Suddenly, like when like the volatility became overwhelming, and that's basically what I think is like the same concept that is happening. Like at some point, you need to understand that while there's so much you can coach and there's so much you can do for the team, but it needs someone that translates whatever you're saying, whatever you're thinking, whatever your game plan can be into the game. And if none of the players can do it, then you always have volatile games. And that's what I see, like that's why I was drawing the Mowgli perspective, is that when I look at the Fnatic roster right now, like it's like Mowgli and Mr. Nukeduck, they're kind of similar players. They play on volatility and they do not often make sense and they're not able to apply game plans to the game. So there has to be something that like went wrong in scouting, and there has to be something that went wrong, quite frankly, in the translation between the people, because quite frankly, it doesn't make sense for this team to be this uncoordinated with this much experience. You know, so there has to be something that's like so deeply fucking faulty with.
There's one thing I think's mad that it's like if anyone knows Sherlock Holmes, there's a famous story where the whole premise is it's called like the dog that didn't bark, and the way he solves the case is he figures out essentially that someone's lying, because in this scenario they claimed earlier in the story there was a dog there, right? But if this like, you know, say some like guy had come through that yard, the dog would bark, wouldn't it? So the fact that the dog didn't bark implies that something about the story is a lie, like you weren't there or the dog wasn't there, or so, and that's essentially uses like deductive reasoning to figure out what's going on, right? It's like that with Humanoid, because here's the problem, right? Everyone's going to think of Spring and when he was in Fnatic then, and they were actually a good team, you remember, at the time. And at the time, in that time, that was where he was flexing more like the fucking carry side, like I'm on LeBlanc or I'm on the Silas or something, like I'm the one who's shitting on the other guy. Like, essentially, I'm playing like I'm Knight or I'm Rookie or something. Here's what's wild. Do you remember back in the day, even in the Spring and especially in Mad Lions, dude, Humanoid used to play all the time like Azir and Orianna. Those are like two of his champions all the time. Where the fuck is Orianna this split? Because by the way, if I want a guy to stop feeding, stop dying to ganks, and just shore up my mid lane, has there ever been a better fucking mid lane champion than Orianna from that in the history of the game? It's even meta now. It will always have matchups that work. It's probably the most consistent mid lane champion you can ever play. It's why, if you're actually an amazing Orianna like Larson, they just discredit you. You're like, oh, whatever, it's just boring, isn't it? You're just playing Orianna, like it's easy. Like the joke is, like, that shows me Humanoid actually, like, mentally doesn't think of himself as the same player. Like, he's trying to be the hero, I feel like. He doesn't want to be the boring mage player. player. That was his career. People don't know in Splice that he played all the time. It was like the Isaiah Corky, man. He just played both sides of it. That's who he was as a player. Like, I feel like he's trying to be Caps now, mate. It's like it's gone to his head, that story, like, you are the new Caps. You are Caps too. But it's like, mate, no one is Caps, first of all. And the joke is even Caps sometimes isn't Caps. Like, he did that last split himself. So that already suggests to me their team has a different conception than we're having on the outside. And then the one angle I want to go on, and then we'll shift and we'll do the fun Rogue Mad series, is this. Because both of you can have an angle on this. Because actually, I know Keire is actually like a low-key sleeper fan of Nukeduck as well. But obviously, amazing. I want to start with you on this. This is an area as well, dude, where Nukeduck will never, ever get his props in LEC. I've realised this, mate. Because the problem is, because people don't perceive him as the best back in the day of the Expectation of the Froggins, and then obviously then came Perks and Caps, and they always put him behind them in the rankings and had him like one tier below. Like, he's never allowed to be S tier, basically, amazing. He's always like A tier at best. Well, it's worse than that. Ever since he had the slump in like the Origin into Astralis and came back, even though he came back and people sort of like begrudgingly give him props, they only let him ever be like he's only allowed to be like the most, he's essentially like the median mid laner for everyone now. He's like the most average player ever. Like, you never, but I don't know what player they're talking about. Look, he obviously isn't like the Caps smash the lane player, but like, bro, when I watch him, he matches up so well with everyone. He clearly seems like one of the most cerebral mid laners. He always has a game plan. He's also, by the way, a brilliant player actually for if you ever are in like an even game state, or you need someone to figure out wave pressure or go and fucking push the side lane. This guy's a fucking monster at that stuff. So I even feel like he's actually somewhat undervalued. Like, in this matchup, I think he could do so much work. What do you think?
No, I agree with you. Like, the thing is that the Nukeduck, the reason why people don't want to give him props and the reason why people don't want to understand him is like kind of the same reason as to why like people like, I mean, quite frankly, honestly, someone like Alfari is overrated. It's the same concept. So the reason people look at the lanes and they're like, man, if this guy wins by 10 CS, that must mean he's really good. His lane mechanics are really outstanding. That is really fucking great and all. But they don't realize that the matchups that these people pick intentionally in order to win lane are already there. And second off, like, if you play losing lanes well, which Nukeduck is probably one of the best players in Europe at, is that like you don't get the props because you're not getting ahead, right? You're literally just losing less than you should. And that's where Nukeduck excels. It's like that he understands how to play the losing side really well. And when he plays the winning side, he doesn't play it fancy. He doesn't do it in a kind of like oppressive way where he dies 1v1 and does like the 1v2 outplay like Caps did on Aurelia against, like, let's say fucking Team Liquid, right, where 1v2 kills the enemy mid jungle, right? He doesn't do that. However, what he does is that he understands how this pressure that he's creating translates to the map, and then he transfers that pressure to the rest of the map, right? He either fogs into bot side jungle or whatever it is, like gives his lane, like, let's say, a push out or a potential dive opportunity, or then he just like fakes a reset. These kind of things. So many little things that Nukeduck does that are not necessarily filling up the stat sheet, but they're really, really good and really, really important to the other players in the game. On top of his communication patterns that I'm very well aware of, because he's really fucking good at talking and saying what he wants to do, right? And there's never a break in communication flow with him, unless it's like he blew out his vocal cords or whatever it is. So I don't know, like in this matchup, when I see him against Humanoid, especially when I think about like how Humanoid lost last split's playoffs, if he understands the very niche meta of like this best of 5 in terms of champion pools, I think Nukeduck is going to come out ahead, because every single time, at least like when it came to the last playoff series for Fnatic came around, right? They won one against G2, pretty convincing. It was like 3-1. And then they lost in the reverse sweep that you guys alluded to, right? Like where he picked TF4 games, or 3 games in a row and lost all 3 of them, right? And he went like 0-20 or something. Like he went like something really scary. Like he was inting his ass off. That like if Nukeduck can somehow understand the very microcosm of this niche like your 5 meta, he's going to come out ahead, because quite frankly, he has a large champion pool he plays.
Oh, his champion pool's really good again. He's got all the meta champions, basically. All of them.
Yeah, and exactly that. He plays TF Orianna, for example, is like, it can be a niche matchup that he can play. He played it well against Perks. Then he still has LeBlanc in his repertoire. He has still a Sandra. He has the Ahri. Like, Ahri not
Talia,
as much.
he has them all.
Talia is fine. So, like, he has so many champions that Human has to account for. And then he actually plays these champions relatively safely sound, like on a pretty, like, let's say on a 90% level. Like he's never gonna be like this, as you said, like the Caps kind of person who's gonna go 5-0 in lane and suddenly solo carry the game. But you don't like no professional team or player. Like let's be realistic, that is like a non-generational talent is gonna do that. Like it's like how do I put this? You're trying to like basically compare fucking someone like, let's say, like someone like Ray Allen to Michael Jordan. Well, yeah, to a certain extent, Michael Jordan is obviously better. Like he's his generation talent, but for example, with someone like Ray Allen or like someone of that caliber of a player that what you're gonna get, right? You don't compare him to the greatest of all time. You compare it to people in his range, and with that range, well, you're always going to know what you're going to get, and you always know what the kind of execution is going to be, right? For Ray Allen, obviously, like you know, you're going to have 40% from 3, and that's basically it on a decent volume. And the same for Nukeduck. Well, you're always going to have like a decent sized chance that you're going to be 3 to 5 CS more up than you should be in losing matchups, and it could be 3 to 5 CS up more than you should be in winning matchups. So is that not good enough? And I don't get it. Is that not good enough? Like, what else you want from a player that is heralded as bad or like as mediocre at best? Are you fucking mental? Like, if I was right now choosing between Nukeduck and Humanoid, I would choose Nukeduck in a best of 5, 100%.
Yes. Oh, that's even one of the ways I've been trying to make my point about this, that I think he's underrated, is anytime anyone flames like another mid laner, I'm like, mate, let's just put Nukeduck there. Spoiler, all the teams get better. Fnatic probably's better. Fucking just go down the line. Like, most of them that lost instantly become good if Nukeduck's the mid laner. I even think, by the way, maybe this is controversial, if you'd have sent Nukeduck to Mad Lions instead of Niski, I bet they'd still be one of the best teams in the whole fucking LEC. The joke is then he'd be the MVP candidate because they'd be good, wouldn't he? They'd be a different team, of course. Yeah, come on, give me.
Him and Mark Noon understand jungle in like a different way. It's just a different like way of like running a jungle system. But it's still the difference being that like Armut is like a shitter, but he doesn't just insta lose you the game like every single time. But like Finn just made the game's unwinnable. So that's like the difference. That's why, you know what I mean, like things are what they are. I'm actually a Nukeduck, but like always been a Nukeduck fan. He's probably someone I've actually watched every single game of like his career, probably like multiple times all the way back. He's historically been one of my favourite players like ever. I love everything about Nukeduck's game until it comes to team fighting, and then I want to close my eyes and
sure.
Right, and I'll tell you, he's one of the... Again, it's not a meme. You've seen it in the Orianna game against Vitality. You've seen it in some of the earlier game splits. This guy is one of the only mid laners that effectively knows how to set up side lanes, when to split push side lanes, understands like objective spawned and creating side lane pressure for objectives. The only problem is for some strange and unknown godly fucking reason, he has been catastrophically bad at like target selection on like certain picks, and like it is what it is. He's just not being a good team fighter. But that's a whole problem with XL, by the way. XL's team fighting is there are games where they have 6,000 gold leads, 2 items on like Nukeduck and Patrick, and they'll come out of the team fight and Mickey X is the only person alive, and you're just like, what? How the fuck did that happen? Like, I mean, Jesus
I think I actually know why that happens.
Like, there's dog shit at team fighting.
No, it's not that easy. Like, so there's a certain controlled nature to XL. Like, I mean, the systems or whatever it is that they're running, right? When it comes to team fighting, it's a lot harder to run systems at this point. Like, the team fights are not like Season 5 team fights, right? In Season 5, you could be like, well, we're going to play front to back, keep 80 carry alive, we're going to win the team fight, right? That's it. That's not how it works anymore. It's a lot more about, like, I mean, first of all, summoners are a lot more important, feels like, nowadays, because everyone has so much mobility. So if your summoner down, you're probably going to lose the team fight. If your priority target is like down a summoner, right? You're just going to lose a team fight simply based upon that. But on the rest of it is like that it's a lot more about in the moment mechanical ability than it is about pre-planning. And once the pre-planning is out, I think XL obviously lacks a lot of like individual ability, right? Like there's no secret to that. Like, I mean, Marcoon is fine and all. He's probably one of the better in the better half of the junglers. So is Nukeduck in terms of mid-laners. But Mickey X is not like, at this moment in time, like the greatest mechanical player. Patrick in teamfights is okay. He's fine and all, but he's not like an upset, or he's not like a like.
I think he's actually really, really, really good in teamfights.
I think
seriously, I think he's really good. I think it's one of his strongest, it's one of his been the strongest areas this split. Just in my opinion, from what I've seen, when I've been isolating them, he had some dicey ones later on, like in the Draven game, that XL played, where he fucked up the first two team fights. But then the minute he got the gold lead, he was carrying each and every one of them.
I think he's good when he's put in the favorable position, but if he's put in a position where he has to I honestly 1v5 carry, and he's the one that is the only one that can make the team fight happen. I think then he struggles, but maybe that's just my perception. But
it's just we see it different last time.
Yeah.
One thing we have to do before we move on to the last matchup is I just want because the problem is obviously we've gone all around the houses on Fnatic and XL. So I'll come back to this. Amazing. Who do you actually think's winning this one?
Okay, my brain says XL, but my gut says Fnatic, and I think it's also going to be a clear 3-0. I think Fnatic...
For whoever it is. Okay, so it's Fnatic in this case, right?
Fnatic's going to flip it.
Come on then, Keire. Who wins?
I should predict on what I've seen, and what I've seen from XL is more consistent than from Fnatic.
Okay, that is what you said at the beginning, to be fair.
Yeah, XL should win.
The problem with that is this, Keire. This is the difference between actually having to do loads of predictions on camera, because it does actually change you. Fans don't know this. I always say this to fans. If you're sat at home and you're like, well, that wasn't that big a surprise, they were a good underdog, it's like, no, you have to make the prediction before the game. You have to go out there and put your name next to it and go, this underdog wins. And if they lose, by the way, no one cares what your reasons are, you're an idiot. Now, the point is, when they don't do that, they actually, what they find is you can always find, well, that could have happened. Well, I thought both teams were good. That's why what they'll do is, fans, here's where you know fans are full of shit. It's one thing if they say, I thought the other team would win. If they say, well, it's not that surprising, that means they didn't pick that team, they just thought they had a chance, which is like, well, the person who does the prediction can't do that, can they? They have to pick one. So the point is, right, it's way harder when you make yourself do it. So what I'll say is this, Keire, I've done the move you've done a million times. It's actually generally a thing I think is different about League of Legends and CSGO, by the way. In CSGO, I'm way more likely to do your pick, which is, even if they haven't won yet, I always go with the team I think is fundamentally better at the game, has a better understanding of what they're doing, as a team identity, has a coherent way of playing. But you can see there's a bot coming on this one. In League of Legends especially, by the way, because I think it's such a crazy game for champion strength skewing the game. Obviously, star players are crazy impact in League sometimes, despite the fact it's viewed as more of a team game. If you have a mid laner that just has a great game, they can just take over the whole match. So the problem with that one is, even though I don't know, I'm with you, I don't know how Fnatic wins. I don't know what player they win through. I don't know how they set up the fucking draft. I don't know what happens from minute 1 to minute 30. But I have to say, sadly, I would suspect that XL turns up, doesn't do most of the great stuff they did in the split. Probably is a bit less confident. One player, maybe Finn just has a couple of bad games, and then Fnatic almost trips over and wins. Now, the good news is, even if Fnatic wins, I think probably almost anyone else except Misfits is going to beat them. So it's not, I don't think they're going to do much, but I have to sort of go with that angle. I know it sounds whack because I'm not really giving any reasons, but this is one of those cases where the intangible factors that aren't analysed in the game, like having more experienced players, the big game player, the fact that even though it doesn't make sense, one of Hillsong and Humanoid could just have 2 or 3 good games. That can happen, and if it happens, I'm sorry, if you're XL, game over for you. You don't win. You probably don't win that series. So I have to side with essentially chaos. The joke is we are going for some sort of order versus chaos fucked up angle here. So that's why I said at the beginning, I think that even though it's a bad matchup, it's not going to be a great game. It's one that had so many areas we could go in and discuss.
We need John Peterson on the case.
Yeah, let's go into the last. Well, the joke there is, he'd be on some next level shot. No, you see the way that XL focuses on the dragon. The dragon represents chaos, and man's he'd actually have some whole fucking thing on the draft and that. I should actually do that, mate. I should dress up like him and do a whole draft philosophy. It'd be fucking amazing, wouldn't it? I know. And then the joke is, as I'm saying some shit, I'd even make it funny, I'd tie it into the topic. As I'm making some analysis of why this was a terrible draft for Fnatic, there's all nutter Fnatic SJW fans banging on the windows no, that's it, we'll kill him, exactly, cancel this motherfucker. That's not even that far from the truth. They do that to me. So let's go to the last series now, because let's be real, like I said, the last series is what everyone's coming for. This could be an amazing one. There's obviously a really good chance at some point we even see a rematch, maybe. This could be the Fnatic, well, that never actually happened last time, but in theory Fnatic was supposed to rematch Rogue, but obviously one team didn't turn up, did they? So obviously this is the one that I think is a cool one, because you can go either way on this one, but this is actually potentially a good match. So amazing, start me off here. Just give me a sense as we start out. Are you favouring a team? Are you seeing the matchup skewing one way initially?
No, I generally don't. It's so hard. This is one of the matchups I don't know how to call. a lot of things have to go right for Rogue, I think, at this point in time for them to win, I would say. But if they do, which isn't even that far-fetched, right? Literally, that Myrank getting some more consistency, the entire map just playing solidly, and them just playing normally around bot lane as they used to with Hansama, I think the matchup is theirs. But the craziness of fucking Mad Lions, whatever they do in terms of jungle invades and jungle fights and honestly, Kaiser roams preemptively roam before the enemy is even set up. It can so heavily skew with the series. So it's really fucking hard. My gut tells me that Rogue is going to be better prepared though. That's my gut.
Where you going, Keire, on this one?
Right, so this is actually really interesting. I actually think Mad have got play the style that produces the most replicable regular season wins.
Okay.
It is very, very, very good. At just producing. Both teams have a week to prep, and you just go at it. Their style is one of the best for producing wins, but it's one of the worst styles for variation, placing variations upon it. And really interestingly, I think Larson is one of the, even though he actually hasn't had the best matchups into him, Larson is one of the players that can really pin Niski to lane and make the burden of moving to these invasions and these roams, he can make it exceptionally high. He can make the burden that Niski and Aloya want to do really high. And the thing that every single person, I'd be like, okay, so when Mad don't get that style off, if you actually go look at the games that they lost, it's all the ones where they fucked up drafts and they gave away stupid packs, and it's the games where they attempted their style didn't get a big enough gold lead, and they weren't able to snowball the game into the enemy team. There are two big props though for Mad right now. First of all, this champion pool right now is god tier for Armut. It is at the
you mean
top meta. Gnar, Renekton, it's just an insane, and it's not that it's bad for Odoamne, by the way, it's just one of the players that I think is just so exposable on Mad is going to have a massive crutch going into playoffs here, and the problem is what does Odoamne pick to blow these pieces wide open? They're not those types of pieces.
There are no champions right now that do that, actually. It's really fucking hard.
Yeah, and it's, even though Armut isn't a stable player, the picks that he's going to be able to get himself onto provide so much stability that I actually feel like had we had a different meta, you could see Mad fall in a different way. Not that Rogue can't win through topside, they definitely can. It's just, I don't think they're going to be able to expose a player who I think is a weakness as much as they usually would.
What I was going to say is that, I think Ahmed is really hard exposed right now. But as you said, it's I guess where the very centric point of the entire series is gonna lie, right? It's how quick is the game gonna be played, right? Is it gonna be a slow game where teams are gonna be pinned to lanes and suddenly all them lane and roam advantages that Mad Lions is able to generate or was able to generate in the best of one system is suddenly gonna falter? Or is it gonna be a bloody match because both teams just feel like due to the sustain nerfs in lane, for example, it's not that worth to play slow in lane right now, and you just want to make it volatile because everyone is low HP anyway. And I think that's where, to my estimation at least, the difference is going to be. If the again microcosm of that meta for that best of five is going to be really quick, and people are going to fight a shit ton, I don't favor Rogue at all because I think Rogue makes a lot of individual errors, especially on Myrank. I think this guy is he's crabs or claps too, but he's recently obviously been pretty bad. Whereas Elioya, honestly, after his recent debacle in the early part of the split where he literally missed what the fuck he was doing when he was, I think it was against XLE ganked top lane, he missed QE, whatever it is, something like that, crazy. But ever since then he has been very, very solid. That I think he has the upper hand in the individual matchup, especially as quick paid. So I don't know, if the meta is slow, Rogue all the way.
You can slow down the meta though. It is possible. And the thing is the way to do it. You can literally go watch the VODs. EDG and LPL literally relies on the game. Go watch how EDG lose the games where LNG and players and all that. Zerg rush them, take skirmishes and run over the top of them. But if EDG slows the game down to a point, and the how they do it, you can literally watch the games how they do it. They rely on the cannons, the stability of the tops, all the things that Rogue actually wants to do. But But like as I was saying before, the other thing that goes from mad is they're the other team that plays they play the Draven bot lane, right? And supposedly Comp can play Draven. I've been told that Comp does actually play Draven.
Yeah.
It was a Draven one trick at one time, but Rogue have no Draven priority in drafts. They have not picked it this season, and it doesn't look like I think they want to like play that style of game. Now, to me, that's kind of crazy because when I see a Draven kill condition bot lane, I think that's going to enable Malrang. He has a clear objective. He goes to it consistently all the time, even if it's wrong for him to like be there. If you're getting the Draven value kills, it can be like the correct decision because you end up with such massive gold leads and individual advantages on Draven. But Rogue don't play it. I don't know if they're going to pick it up. If they do pick it up, I doubt they're going to pick it up, mate. It's completely anathema to like what they actually want to be doing as a team. I kind of hope that they do like pick it up, but I don't think. I think they're definitely going to ban it and then they're going to handshake Severzeri. 110%. That's like the route they're going down. In terms of who,
that'd be good for them though. Like if they handshake Severzeri, I think they have the upper hand.
Yeah, they do. Like Comp is a much better teamfight ADC than Unforgiven. Unforgiven's really unstable in like team fights, which is really characteristic of rookie ADCs. I understand he's not like a rookie now.
Yeah, of course.
He's people have hear the words he's improved this season. Then he's like this complete package player. He isn't. He still has intrinsic flaws. He still has weird places that he stands that exposes himself to flanks. That yes, sometimes the European teams don't expose this and don't pick up in these tendencies. But the answers are there. The VOD reviews are there. Like you can go and you can see them. The way he stands, the way like he accesses fights. It is like possible to find these things. The big saving grace for Rogue is the cheeky solo dragons and like the speeding up the dragons super early. Obviously, has been slowed down a lot with the dragon changes. And you're getting more and more late game team fights around like dragon, like 2-item, 3-item dragons that decide 3rd and 4th Drake. This actually like massively favours Rogue, but it only favours Rogue in the sense of like they are a better team fighting team, and I think their players are much better at setting up and playing around those like objectives. The problem is how much gold is Rogue going to leak in the early games, because if they're leaking 5,000, 4,000 gold every single game, those games are so hard to win right now. The champion durability patch is in, but champion durability really doesn't matter when like you've got like Severs and stuff dealing like 60,000 damage a game. It's absolutely absurd.
No, but I mean, I wouldn't expect them to bleed. I mean, I guess it entirely depends on like again the champion pool selection, but you have like basically set champion pool selection on the top lane, right? And you can manipulate the AD carry matchup pretty efficiently because Kalista has kind of fallen out of favor despite her still being played once in a while. Like, so you basically only have to plan Kalista. I mean, Severzeri primarily, then you have to pick ban around Kalista Draven depending on whether or not you think it's worth in that best of 5, right? And Unforgiven, like, I guess he has like 1 or 2 wildcards with Karthus or whatever, like that he's a bit weird upon. Like, but I think even the rest of the map like can be very manipulated. Like mid lane, pretty manipulated. So what I'm trying to say is that like if you do manipulate a lot of matchups, right, and you kind of like play like basically the Nukeduck style multiple roads in a way, like you would be able to basically just reduce your bleed to like 1 or 2k, I would say in the early. There's not much else you can do unless you literally get dove on turrets, right? Because turrets give an absurd amount of gold, but kills themselves don't really do that much, I guess. Yes. You know, it's like they're okay, but it's like you can if as long as you push out waves and you get the XP, you don't really care. So if you drop 2 to 3 kills and you drop down to like drop by 1.2k, 1.4k, I think you're perfectly fine.
Yeah, like, those situations are like they're completely like tenable, and a lot of those like situations do end up actually being like symptoms of a draft. But just to give a point about like Rogue, I really want to like Rogue as like a team. But another point that really scares me is when I look at Larson. Larson's had a not so good split for Larson. It's still been it's been a very, very good split, but people mean that Larson's lane centric, right? Holy fucking shit, has he been lane centric this split? I have not seen that man really move at all, and it's a shame because when I see him on like the Talia, everything looks good. The stuns, the wave clear, like the way he pilots the champion, he understands the matchups, he punishes the person. and then he like doesn't attack side lanes with it. He doesn't use the wall. He see someone that doesn't feel comfortable using the explicitly most powerful part of that champion's kit, and
yeah, I agree.
And I'm really scared that like to try and get Niske off of free prio picks like fucking what's her name? I just said it. To get him off those picks, Larson is going to take those picks, and Rogue are going to end up hamstringing themselves. As in, like, they're going to have Larson play things he hasn't as comfortable
play,
on. They're going to take the Talia off of Niske, and Rogue are going to end up hampering their like playstyle, and have maybe Larson's fucking been in scrims for 2 weeks, just fucking blasting everyone's heads off with Talia, and maybe he's been doing that in lane. But you really...
He doesn't make the right decision past it. I agree with
that. It's a car engine pick. You get once that pick gets rolling, it just keeps rolling, and you keep going, and you stand on the enemy's throat, and you annihilate them. The problem is Rogue has never been that team. They're like the type of people that like held the person up, like brush them down, and be like, "Oh, do you want to fight again?" Like they're just a very, very stable, want to go to objectives, take certain fights, take fights that they know they have numbers advantages for. And yeah, you've now got Malrang as this crazy like wild card, but I don't think that's a player that actually like fit into that style.
I just can't really pinpoint to one single champion that right now that I'm like really confident that Larson, I guess, is gonna like play the lane-centric style upon and is gonna win the game for you. Like
Azir, he can do it on Azir.
Yeah, I guess Azir. Like I was looking at stats too, like just to kind of reframe it in my head too. It's like 4-2 on Azir this year, this split. But I guess because of his prior experience on that champion, like he's going to be good enough. Like on that. Beyond that, it's like he's 1-3 on Talia. He's 2-1 on Ahri at this point in time. He's 1-0 on Sylas. He's 1-0 on Victor. It's like in 1-0 on Sun. It's like he has, obviously because we only have 18 games. There's obviously just a limited sample size, but most of the champions that he wins with, as it seems like, and that he actually like feels comfortable on, are champions that are going to be not just lane centric. They're forced to be lane centric. That's the difference.
Yeah, they're pinned by themselves.
Yeah.
I mean, the one he should play more of there, if you just look historically, is the Victor. Like, he has a fucking sick Victor, but obviously you have to get that farmed. Like, you're going to have to be in lane for a while on that. Here's the thing. You guys have both touched on the two biggest angles that I do think are the swing factors here, namely being, essentially, what happens to Mad in the first half of the game, and then the other one is the Unforgiven factor. So I'll do the first one first. The reason why I'm personally thinking Rogue is actually going to win this is it's not as much like a vote of confidence for Rogue. It's more like I actually think that Mad Lions did get a bit exposed at the end of the split. I think some of that's going to carry through. So basically, the problem is this. First of all, when you say Mad Lions, you have to remember they're nothing like the humanoid Mad Lions. They were actually almost like an inverse. Because if you remember, the thing about the humanoid Mad Lions, it's the whole reason, in my opinion, that everyone started saying that whole like humanoid is Caps 2.0. It's because they used to be like the G2 super team from 2019. Like they would always be like fucking slightly behind in the early game of like a playoff game. Then in the mid game, they just take over, win every skirmish, every fight, get control of it, and then just win the game. And you'd be like, and that's why actually, funnily enough, Rogue was one of the teams who fell victim to that many times. Like you would always feel just like when you were playing against G2, like, but the real phase of the game where they're going to be good hasn't come yet. And you always have that inevitable feeling of like humanoid's going to make a play a la Caps. Like this is going to happen. Well, first of all, spoiler, the team is the opposite now. They start really strong. And as you said, it's more like, do they have a big enough gold lead they can use it to like brute force the game to close? And spoiler, despite the fact they won the most games in the split and at one point looked like the best team in the whole LEC, even at their height, they had that exact same problem. They had games they would just throw or almost throw, and spoiler, they even threw one of these two, Rogue themselves earlier this split. They would just have games where it's like, the difference is a truly great, like the past #1 European dominant team, that's where they win every one of those games. You give those guys a 6k gold lead with perks and caps, they're just closing all those games, mate. Somehow this team would just sort of let the other team get back in the game. And the problem I had was this, even when they were at their peak, Rogue was one of the teams that could stay with them early. They could actually like not let them get too far ahead, could farm up themselves, because obviously famously Rogue always has lanes that like can get the CS and can do well, and champion pool if they draft correctly. Spoiler, if you go listen to the last interview, he essentially admits that Rogue just draft OP champions. That's for any 1-2 style. You just get the most OP champions in the game, make a small champion pool for each player and just play those. Why would you play niche picks, is his logic? These are the best things in the game. So I think first of all, I could see a world where actually Rogue can just essentially hang with them early or even maybe be ahead, in which case they're laughing. And then I also think if you look at Rogue, the reason why it was famously the G2s and Fnatics that were so dangerous if you were Rogue is exactly because you were worried, what if they fuck you up mid-game? Dude, I think actually this is the dream, even though I might obviously be totally wrong, this could all be in a hilarious compilation video now where like it's and then everything I say is wrong. But I actually genuinely think this is the team where if you're Rogue, I've watched every Rogue playoff game, I'm a fan of the team, they're just not as good as I wish they were. This is the dream opponent to play because you actually could just sit in lane, farm on strong champions, wait to scale, they will get weaker and weaker, and then you just win team fights. Like, that's exactly, by the way, why you hate watching Rogue, as I said, against Fnatic and G2. They're never going to get to do that. You're sitting there watching, go, guys, you're not going to farm your way back in this game. Like that champion that you just gave a kill to, he's coming back with an item to kill you again and gank you. This team, I think, is going to let you do it. I think they'll let Rogue stick around, mate. And if they do that, you, as you're saying, you can just let them scale up. And you know what? He might not have done anything for the first 20 minutes. He might just be in lane. But if fucking Larson or Comp comes into that team fight with items and fed on their champions, they are going to do fucking damage, mate. They're going to win the fights. And then also, secondly, when I said about the Mad Lions factor last year, there is no fucking humanoid. Listen, Niski's really good, but I'm one of those people where I'm sort of like, you amazing. I'm amazed that people don't big up El Yoya more. I think of the two, I would pick El Yoya as the MVP for this
100%.
team personally. It's just that obviously that whole narrative got derailed because they had Rika and then they were really bad. I can see why those are easy narratives to put together. And to be fair, I think part of it's almost like when they give the Oscar to someone like 20 years after they should have won it, like Scorsese. They always give you on a shit film, don't they? Because they have to just give you it in the end. That's like what people are doing with Niski now. What they're really saying to Niski is not you're the best player or the actual most valuable. Good, They're just saying, like, you've actually gotten really good now. We used to think you weren't that good. So, like, you know, you deserve it. Like, it's your turn. It's your turn to win because your team's number one. Well, they were at one point, you know. I think people have gotten too far with that. Like, the difference is, Niski isn't fucking Caps 2.0. He's still Niski. Like, he's a better version, but he's not some monster. So there's another problem. If I'm Larson, I'm not, like, shitting my pants like, oh, my God, this is Caps. He's going to fucking blow it. Nah, it's not going to happen, mate. If anything, Niski's going to fuck off out the lane, and the joke is you're just going to take 3 waves. Because, you know, this classic divide, if people don't know, comes from something in Insight amazing. In Season 4, the first year of so many Insights, I know you were watching, you were in the fucking Twitch chat and not users and everything. When you guys were all watching, a famous episode we had was we brought Froggen on, right? And Froggen said this, like, now notorious thing, where essentially I asked him, like, what do you think of, like, High just roaming all over the map all the time? And the joke is, because he's Froggen, he actually just genuinely says, like, I don't know what he's doing, because, like, you know, you're giving up, like, 12 CS to go get that kill away, and, you know, he's done, like, the math on it or whatever. And the logic is, right, here's what's funny. Back then, because Cloud9 looked awesome, everyone said Froggen's wrong, right? And this just shows that Froggen doesn't roam enough and he doesn't understand the game. Well, the joke is this. I always thought this was the really unfair part about that. Froggen doesn't even get to play against High. If you watch Froggen play High, first of all, Froggen's a way better mid laner than High. What are you talking about? And secondly, that style won't work very well against Froggen, by the way. If you go and roam, imagine you don't get the gank off there and Froggen was just taking 3 waves mid. Yeah, good. Try doing that over and over again. He will just win without doing anything, mate. And the point is, I think that can happen in this matchup.
No, I mean... No, I can see your point. I think in this case, you know, it's like, I mean, nowadays I think it's a lot harder to get the playoff. I think at least like in this current meta, I think most of the top laners are really like ineffective, so you can't really play around them, right? It's like Renekton, Thorin, whatever it is, like on the top lane, Sivjani. So like, why the fuck would you go top lane? Like, unless you have a carry matchup, which you're never gonna have on the armored side. And bot lane is like, well, if you see it coming, right? Like, if you're so far behind in tempo as a team that mid laner roaming to bot lane will dive you. You must have fucked up for that, like far before that. So it's like you can see the fuck up coming, and you know it's gonna come, so you can actually react to it easily. Back in the days, it used to be a bit different. It was a bit harder to react to it, so because like no one had movement speed in the game, you know. Like as soon as mid lane had movement speed, and you didn't have movement speed, you're dead. It's just what it is, you know. Like so, I guess like it was a bit different, but I don't know. Like when I do hope that Niski and Elioya and Malignset overall will be able to adapt their style a bit, because I do think that they know that they fucked up a lot in the last couple of weeks. It's not like they think the plays that they made were like good or whatever it is. I think they know they were fucked and they were pretty bad. So I think they know that they have to adapt, and I'm willing to bet that there's at least a slight adaptation in terms of mid lane pool, I would say, and there's not going to be an over reliance on Talia because it's too expected. Right, like you know that Niski's gonna play Talia. He's gonna pull a pick, do the same thing every single game. That's not gonna happen. He knows that he's intelligent enough, and so is Milan's coach. However, it's like the question: how will the team chemistry and how will the team overall shift in case suddenly you have less of a rotational piece in the mid lane, right? And I think that's where some of the flaws of the other roles are going to be exposed. Right? Ahmed isolated this matchup. Unforgiven potentially isolated this matchup. And it's exactly what Rogue wants, right? Like, you want to isolate those matches. You want to be able to do more than one. And you'll be able to take like 10, 15 CS advantages over the early game and suddenly going to look pretty fucking strong, you know? So it's kind of like you do but you don't kind of scenario for format lines. Like, whatever they do, I think they're kind of fucked. I think they're just not in the best position simply because of the matchup that they have. If it was like G2, you can actually bait G2 into just fist fighting you the entire game.
Oh, I think they have a very good matchup against everyone. Yeah, I think I'm actually looking forward to them playing the other teams. I think that'll be more interesting. Here's the other angle as well, because I said I'd touch on the Unforgiven one. This is one of those areas where I actually do try, and when I get interested in a player, like Keire said, I watch all the games. I try to like really get like I try to fine tune the narrative, not just go with the big picture one of like this player does this big thing. Like, it can't just be like he just roams. Then you need to know specifics of like, yeah, but what championship matchups, then what type of player does he do it again? That's where you want to go nitty gritty. So the one angle I feel like people don't understand Unforgiven is this. In spring, I even said this, I think he was robbed of the rookie of the split. I thought it was fucking mega, even though Mad Lions didn't make playoffs. I thought it was ridiculous to give it to Schlatten just for playing 3 good Lee Sin games at the end of the split or whatever. Like, that one's crazy to me. I think history will look back on that so fucking poorly, it's mental. Except no one cares about rookie of the split, I guess, so that's why it doesn't really matter. But the problem is this. One, people forget, because I'm like Keire, I keep calling you a rookie until you stop looking like an amateur, basically. I don't call you a rookie just because it's split one, like Riot's rules. And guess what? Riot didn't invent the word rookie. Right? To me, he's very much a rookie. Like, obviously, he hasn't yet to play a playoff game. It's going to be his first playoff series. Yeah. So then the problem people have is this. I think he was the rookie of the split, and I would have maybe had him on, like, you know, my 3rd team All-Pro or something. But I thought him being 1st team All-Pro, it's like, y'all are just y'all are just crotch sniffers. You didn't give him any props in spring because you didn't see his team, and then because his team was number 1, you've just made him the best. Like, what the hell's that?
Isn't like format lines players on the 1st team?
Everyone except Darmo is.
Don't get me started with the All-Pro team, mate. It's fucking...
It's wild,
it's dog shit, mate. It's absolute fucking dog shit.
Oh, it is wild. But here's the maddest thing, though.
How can it be the 2nd best team?
Oh, it's wild.
I can be the 2nd best team in the league, but you have 4.
And have the coach and have the best coaching staff, mate, as well, by the way.
I'm with that shit. Is using Dragon.
That's what they're implying, yeah. But yeah.
These narratives fucked, by the way, because supposedly the coaching staff invented everything. Not Niske doing the same thing for 3 different teams.
So the problem I have is this. I think now they've gone the other way and overrated Unforgiven. Like, my problem is this. If you know he's a rookie, and by the way, he's a rookie joining like a team that clearly had like a very specific setup, I think he's doing a great job. Again, like, on his grade, but listen, here's the thing, he's not getting A+, let's be real. He's probably like B+, there you go. He's really, or A- or something. But that's the key point. By doing that, because his team was number 1 and they've put him 1st team All-Pro, here's what I can't abide by. They're amazing. I understand because Fnatic won way less games and looked way worse, and Upset didn't have the chance to carry a lot of games like this guy did. Here's the problem I have. You play AD carry. If you play AD carry, you cannot be someone where Keire can go, and he's not that good in team fights. Excuse me? That's my office. What are you talking about? That's like being a lawyer and going, he's brilliant except in court. That's exactly where it all fucking matters. What are you talking about? So to me, if I was Upset, right, listen, I would literally be sat there. When that came out All-Pro, I would just be like, what role do I even play anymore? Like, this motherfucker, I'm being told he is better than me just because his team is better, basically. Like, I can't beat him. I have to just win in the game or I can't be considered better.
Okay, I think Unforgiven had a better split. I mean, I guess
he did have a better split.
He did, but the point I'm saying is this.
Upset is,
go on.
Yeah, Upset is for sure the better player.
He's just a fundamentally better AD carry, though, if you know what I mean.
He is, exactly. Well, I guess. Okay, let's put it this way. He's a fundamentally better AD carry. He plays his role in itself better, but as of now, Unforgiven actually, like, at least not as of now, but like throughout the split, Unforgiven was the better player. He didn't play AD carry. I don't know what he played at certain moments, but he was the better player. You know, he just
I know what you mean.
He just happened to be on the AD hero, but like.
But here's the problem, though, mate. That was also the regular split. Now we're in the playoffs. As I said, he's never played a playoff series ever at all. And by the way, he's coming into one now where On paper, he's the favourite. I don't know if you know they're the betting favourite if people don't know. Mad Lions and also, because they're Mad Lions and because everyone's done that thing, putting foreplay, the pressure's going to be insane, by the way. The pressure here is you're supposed to... Here's the other thing people don't realise. You know, in all these calls, actually, fans are probably shocked. Like, Rogue is getting way more picks and they're getting way more said for them. Remember, fans are totally out on Rogue. They all think they're all chokers, they're losers. Like, I don't think people realise this is a way harder series for Mad Lions and Unforgiven than people think. Like, they think it's going to be like the first part of the split. I don't think it will be. So... when I consider he was one of the best players on their team in terms of like the carries, like for me he was the best of the 3 carries. Like I guess that's debatable because it's on the Niski one with the mid roll, whatever. That one's up in the air. Like I don't think that condition's a guarantee. You can't just take it and go, he'll play like that every game. Maybe he won't. Who the fuck knows? And also, here's another angle. When you're saying that thing, which is again, this is why the XL style of like this is what they're like is correct. You're correct. He's a brilliant driven player. Tell you what, if I've never played any playoff games in my career, I don't know if I'm putting that fucking comp around a Draven player and just locking him in. You know what I mean? Like that has the potential to go really badly as well.
Because if you once you lose 2 eyes, then there's a couple of things that are just going through my head there that are picking concerning, right? But you're talking about like Rogue drafting like the most they think the most powerful picks and they draft that, right? Trimby's a Nami player, enchanter player. I'm really scared Rogue just goes, yeah, Lucian Nami, that's like the best shit, and they try and run the duels with like Lucian Nami. Maybe they can do it. That sounds pretty fucking like scary to me. And the other one is now that I think about Kaiser's champion pool, yes, he shares like some overlap with like Trimby, but I actually feel like Trimby is going to get to play like a lot of like comfort this series. And like I think Trimby, not that Trimby had like an insanely like 50-50 split. There was like half the games where I watched with like Trimby and I was like, oh yeah, he's like doing some like really, really like great shit. Like this guy is definitely like one of the next best like support players, fundamental teams, fundamental pieces for Europe. And there's other games where I feel like he just like kind of goes like missing for like a star support player, and he makes like what seem like rookie like errors and mistakes for a guy that plays like enchanters and that all the time. Like he'll CC the wrong target, not buff, things like that, right? If you can get like Trimby onto like a lot of like comfort onto these enchanters, I think that's actually a great like pedestal to like start for like Rogue, particularly with the scaling. And then if Kaiser's going on to like his engage, he's played some of the supports, but he was playing a lot more of the engage, like Rakan, he was playing Nautilus, he was playing some Rel and stuff like that. I actually think if they split it like that, Rogue will come in with like a fundamental advantage, because I don't think engage supports is the way to be like is the way to go like at all right now. When you get these ADCs on these support scalings, the Nautilus goes into the team fight. Let me fucking tell you, he ain't coming back out. He just gets turned into fucking Swiss cheese. He just dies. So I actually think there's a couple of like meta I'm like thinking about it more. There's a couple of meta things that are actually going way more in Rogue's favour, because Odo Amni's a really good Kennen player. Kennen's very, very viable pick. If you're pushed on to the Renekton for Armut, yeah, like Kennen's like a great counter pick into that. The only one is obviously Malrang. The jungle pool has been not the best for him.
Yeah.
Poppy, he has the worst pathing of any player I've ever seen. But then when you get into the mid game, like Malrang's like crazy creativity just actually somehow fucking works. And he pulls off these amazing, like, mad, like, Poppy plays. But is that what Rogue needs? Like, you know what I mean? Like, is that the thing to be relying on? It's really scary. I think this is 100%.
Dude, what's mad about him, though, is Malrang is also one of those junglers who seems like he just jungles the same way no matter what the fucking champion he has in the game. Like,
he doesn't give a fuck. He doesn't give a flying fuck.
Like, he'll still go for ganks on some of the, like, ungank, like, ones that don't even do ganks. Like, he just goes for this early gank anyway, because his logic is, like, even more fucked up. Like, well, now they definitely won't expect it. It's like, I mean, sort of.
Malrang's like, I was watching a game once, I was like, the only way Rogue can lose this game is if Malrang keeps on trying to repeat gank top, and then the top pick gets like counter ganks off and he just gets fed, and then Comp's lead just gets annihilated. And I watched this man, like the minute I thought that, I just watched Malrang U-turn on bot lane and walk straight top and just like repeat gank over.
Because here's the thing, I will say, being as I'm taking Rogue to win the series, I do think that is the X factor. If El Yoya has a pop-off series, he can win this for Mad Lions. Like, the difference is, all that stuff I said before, if he fucking pops off, they are going to be ahead by enough gold. They are going to be getting the kills that matter. They are going to shut down the right player. They can have a chance to not have to even get to a team fight or get to a team fight with really uneven advantage. They can do it all if he goes off, for sure.
He's the best player that's the thing, like, for someone like me, I think he's the best player in Europe. Of the junglers, he has the most complete game. He understands jungling at the best like level. And that's like a really, really scary like factor for me. That like if Mad Lions come in with this prep with Aloya, who is supposed to be a smart player, and they identify Rogue's tendencies, Rogue has never been a team for like adaptability. You know what I mean? So like, did they just prey on Rogue's tendencies like 3 games? Like Rogue just run it back and try and run lane a triple winning lane 3 times. Like that's what scares me, because I want like loads of things tell me that Rogue should win. They're better at team fighting. They're better around Drakes. They can come back. They've got like all these like different picks that I was like talking about. Their bot lane's better outside of like the Draven like usage, which isn't that big a deal because you can permaban it. And then the big like X factor is the fact that like, but what if like Aloya just comes in and like just fucking shits all over like top side, and like
I don't know how likely that is. Like that's where I just don't see the likelihood of that. Like I think if this was an inspired Rogue, if Inspired was still on Rogue, I would agree with you. Because I think Inspired is a lot more predictable than Marang is, but Marang is happy in this fight. He's happy to give up 20, 30 CS in the early game, like fall behind and just enable this lane. So like they don't have the same upside in terms of control playstyle as the UCF, but they also don't have the same downside of like being true predictable. So it's like they have struck a new balance. It just depends on how it's going to show up in playoffs, because again, you know, like Marang being this random X factor and all, like he can sometimes be over ganking, overplaying, and then suddenly he's behind for no reason, right? But he needs to identify whether or not the enemy is actually playing up, playing aggressive, or if they're just farming. And if they're just farming, he has to just match the farm. And if they're playing aggressive, well, then he should match the aggression, you know. But that's I think where Marang's biggest weakness is that he treats every jungler as if the enemy jungler was like the second coming of Peanut. And it's like making these extreme plays, you know, flashing over walls, like being in the right spot all the time, like killing everyone on the map. But most junglers are not Peanut. Like most junglers are simply like, I mean, what is the archetypal? Like they're more like Xmithy, they're more like Broxah, right? They're farming, and then at some point they're team fighting. That's it. So you don't have to overplay them. You know, just play them as they are instead of playing like against an imaginary greatest version of the enemy jungler there could be. No,
the problem is, though, I totally agree with you, like, analytically, and if I was his coach, I would obviously give him that speech. But the problem I have is this. One of the reasons people also used to hate on me in spring, right, is even though Rogue was doing awesome and they were winning these series against Fnatic and they were winning the most games, I always used to say, I actually genuinely don't think Malrang is a genius. Like, I don't think he sat down and saw his team and said all the things that he could say. Like, right, what I've got here is I've got a team that's too passive and they're not very proactive and they all stay in lane. So if I was, like, to move, where's the old jungler just farmed? If I was instead to like constantly attack and put pressure on the map and create situations, that I don't think he did any of that. I think what he did was this, spoiler, I think Malrang would jungle the same way if he was on BDS as if he was on this team. And obviously everyone was hating on me because they're all like, how dare you say that? He's like the best jungler of this split or whatever. And I was like, I'm not hating. And what I'm actually saying is I just think he plays his style basically. And now he's lucky that some of it matches with Rogue, but some of it sometimes doesn't. That's the thing. Sometimes I can tell he's doing shit and they have no idea what he's doing, mate. Like, that's why people might think it's a stupid question asking that Larson interview. I actually just straight up ask Larson, like, does Malrang even communicate when he comes for a gank? Everyone's going to think, what a moron. No, do you see some of the ganks he's doing? I don't know. Like, put it this way, if he is coming that, the joke here would be amazing. In, like, team comms, surely some people are like, whoa, back up. Like, you know what I mean? Like, some of these, you'd be telling him, no, like, abort. They'd be the fucking, like, where's the brakes on this thing? Like, because some of the moves he does, mate, remind me of those classic, like, you'll know this, Keire. You know on Dom's stream, he loves to pull up old clips where he had, like, bad teammates. Because he's had some nightmare teammates amazing in LCS, where he's had, like, teammates where they do the thing for real, like solo queue. Like, they ping you when you're, like, coming out of the top side of the map, and they'll just ping you, like, we're going in on this bot lane 2v2. It's like, I can't teleport across the map, motherfucker. Like, I have to run it, and they'll just go in, like, solo queue, and you're like, you watch it, and you do think, like, how could this be pro play? Like, who's coaching these guys? But, like, the joke is, Malrang is a little bit like that. I feel like they've just, because they've given him the green light, I get the vibe, which is weird. He seems to be the only player who has, like, pure green light at all times. Like, it clearly brings an upside, but I do think it brings a downside too. Like, he's the player where, like my joke, you said before, like, he was like the jungle whatever claps. I actually said to Odo Admir, he's like jungle Hillsang to me, but like good Hillsang. Like, he can throw or just win you the game, but he can definitely throw it too. You never know which it is either. It's like when the coin's in the air, you have no idea which side it's coming down on.
He's also like the worst. He's also the worst for like builds and stuff and like enabling.
Oh, it's mad, isn't he?
Like see every single time I see the first strike Jarvan and that, and then I go to the rune, I see, oh good, he got 34 gold this game from that. Like I'm like, oh Jesus fucking Christ! It's like, why is this motherfucker doing this to Larson? Why? But I think there's it's a really interesting like matchup that we're going to have here, and I actually think this is going to sound like a really weird prediction, but I actually think if Rogue can get over this this Mad Lions matchup, I actually think there'll be a much bigger threat in playoffs than a lot of people think. I actually think Rogue match up against the rest of the field really well. Except, obviously, if it's a final or something, where the alternative
intangibles and stuff. Yeah,
the intangibles. But the actual team style, I think Rogue matches up against everyone extremely well except Mad Lions. And if someone else can deal with Mad Lions for Rogue, or if Rogue can get over Mad Lions, you can see a massive confidence boost from the team.
For me, it's the opposite. I think Rogue matches up with everyone besides. Actually, not the opposite, but they match up well with everyone besides G2. I think G2 is the horrific. They cannot play. I think Mad Lions is able to play in G2 because of the volatility and the applied volatility almost of their playstyle. But Rogue, I mean, for some reason, whenever I see them play against G2, I don't think they understand what G2 is doing, because G2 is just operating on a higher level, but they're playing the same game. And that's not the case for Mad Lions and G2, for example. So I don't know, I'm still liking this matchup. I'm still very, very happy about Rogue against
Rogue 3-2, mate. That's what I'm taking. See everything I said about XL, where you should only predict what you've seen from a team.
Okay, you think 3-2?
See all that stuff I gave about XL, you should only predict what you see. Fucking throw that shit out the window, man. Exactly. My boy, that's the only time I'll ever do it. I'll fucking dive head first into the Gillette razor cake, right? Fucking Rogue 3-2. They're sending these boys down into the bin zone. I want to believe it, because I think if Rogue, this is the scary thing about Rogue. If Rogue do not win this summer LEC, I do not know when this group of players is supposed to win.
That's the last time, yeah.
The field is so open, loads of the teams can all beat each other. This is, if Rogue are really serious about getting the win and starting not like a dynasty, but they players starting to think of themselves as winners, this is the split to do it in. This is where you should fucking nut up, come in and be the team.
I think this is the last split. Whatever happens, I think it's the last split. I think they will not get. I think
that's the thing is, though, I know what he means. That's why this is the hinge, though, because I can tell you, if you look at any other great player or team in esports history, there's tons of them. Because obviously there's that famous Korean concept called a Kong, which is the guy who always makes the final. He always loses basically because of mental edge, can't hold it together. If you ever see those players, I've always said this in interviews, but you can go back and check. It's never the case, by the way, that they just got smashed in every final and that's why they lose. What happens is this: there's always a couple of really close ones where they could have won or they were favoured. It's those ones that break you forever. So I think similar to this, right? Here's the difference. The first couple of years, Rogue's whole thing was we aren't even supposed to be this good. How are we top of the league? So they kind of got a pass the first few seasons. In fact, that's why even people like Larson and Inspired were sort of in denial that they were chokers. They were sort of no, with Perks and Caps are supposed to beat us. That's the difference though, dude. This year, once you knew actually how good they were with Malrett, now they have no excuse. These two splits were the window. And here's the key thing. This is why I'm going to pick up on what you said there. The difference is, I agree, if they don't win now, that they might have actually fucked themselves forever. That might be the curse. But here's the difference. If you're every other team, if you're G2, you better beat Rogue this time. Because I'll tell you what, if you guys let them actually win this split, go to Worlds and have a half decent one, that's where you have to play the real Rogue. Because that's when the Rogue that plays in the regular season will be the one in the finals and will be the one in the matches. Because the confidence you get from winning is going to be insane, isn't it? Right now, they do still have that thing of we always do, somehow we'll lose. That becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's not that you go into the game thinking you're going to lose. It's just that you have a bad feeling of but it's when's something going to go wrong, or even if you're ahead, it's but somehow something's going to... That doesn't happen when you win. If you win it, you're going to actually think, fuck, now, in fact, you're going to think, forget all the past. We're winners now, we're the best.
If Rogue end up being Sue of LEC, it'll be the most tragic shit ever, where they never actually win the big one. They win something else or some shit like that. That's what happened with Sue. If they end up being the Sue of the LEC, it will be fucking tragic, because But sadly, and this is the brutal reality of it, they've only themselves to blame. You must just look amongst yourselves.
Yeah.
And you were close in so many series. You had so many chances in the final. You had metas that fit for you perfect. There wasn't the meta where you just were the uppity guys and you just randomly tumbled into it. Larson had his picks, all that, and you really did blow them, or you were just beaten by the better team. And it is the unfortunate circumstances. But right now, Rogue does have a serious chance. This playoff bracket is winnable. They do have the meta. They have the scaling comp. It is teamfight centered. There are Drakes. It's not some crazy split push meta. There isn't some random pick, unless you count Yume, that just makes the game unwinnable if the enemy team picks it. Where Riot's fucked the game with Bruisers and Ardent. That hasn't happened. The game has relative similar qualities to the regular season, and Rogue should be able to transfer those qualities and be the team that they've shown us week in and week out that I know they can be. And yeah, they're not bad in every playoff series they ever play. It does tend to be finals, but you need to start strong. I really want to see Rogue beat Mad Lions and kind of prove to everyone, because a lot of people think of Mad Lions as the best team, the pseudo best team of the split, right? Even though they didn't finish first, right?
Sure.
But if they give these guys a right good doing and actually do have a good 3-0, they've shown up a lot of their weaknesses and stuff, then other people, and you show things maybe that other teams haven't seen, then yeah, other people will have to take that into account. Other people will have to respect it. But is that going to happen? Is this group of players going to do that? I hope they do, and that's why I'm predicting them. I believe in them, and I hope they really do. But
by the way, I definitely agree on the angle they need to get ahead as well, because here's another thing that never actually survived. Obviously, when they did that reverse sweep against Fnatic, because most people had Fnatic as the number one team, remember they just beaten G2, that looked awesome, because it was holy fuck, backs against the wall, they're really good, they've got a super team, but you win against them 3, it's wow, Rogue really, then Fnatic just went down and got utterly 3-0 by G2, and it ruined the whole narrative. Suddenly everyone was oh, who gives a fuck about Fnatic, and then obviously Rogue themselves got 3-0, so sadly, I feel that actually took that, and no one really does believe they can come from behind, so I need Rogue to win game 1. That's it. That's our immediate condition just to get the mental set, to know that we're in the series. They cannot be, put it this way, they're not just going to do come from behind like that. That's not on the cards. Don't put that in there.
The other thing, just to point out, is I don't know with this new merger that if the Rogue, I don't know when the contracts are hanging, but for a player like Odoamne, maybe he's not one of these guys that thinks about his legacy, but how many times, if you're Odoamne, how many more teams are you going to be able to find yourself on that are seriously going to have these chances to win in that?
If they lose this split, I think he is done for.
This is Odo's, one of Odo's last maybe hurrahs at winning the LEC and getting it, and not being on the best players to not win the LEC list, and being one of the perennial champions, being someone that is able to say, on this day, on here, I did win the big one. Yeah. And it should be important to him, and I hope I hope the Rogue players do understand the gravitas of the situation, because I feel the Mad Lion players are all much younger. And they're all maybe outside of Armut and Niski, they're going to have maybe lots of chances and longer careers. But I think the Rogue players need to realise it's here and now they need to do it. This is their chance. This is the run.
Yeah, if they don't I think only Comp and Malrang would be long-term players for Rogue itself. I think even Larson, I wouldn't, if I had to pick right now in terms of mid laners, Niski, for some reason, I consider a young player. I don't know why, even though he's been in the scene for longer than Larson, right? But his playstyle and whatever he brings to the team seems to be very inspiring, right? He seems to be a young kind of player that brings energy to the team. With Larson, I don't have the same feeling. If I was a GM, I would actually look at the demeanor of a lot of players, right? Okay, Odamne is relatively old. He's a good personality, but he's gonna phase out similar to how Xmithy phased out, likely. Now, in my opinion. For Larson, it's he's going to have, I think this is his last shot. And then Trimby, quite frankly, over the course of time, he has had his good splits, he has had his bad splits. I think he has been on the slight decline, or on a pretty good decline, especially after the end of last year. I think he has become worse. I think he's not becoming better. So, for me, when I look at the team, I think this is the last split that they will all, at least 4 of them would stay together. After the splits, it's going to break apart. It doesn't matter if they're long-term contracts or whatever it is, especially due to the new merger. I don't know how that's going to work either. As you put it, right? I do not believe that they're going to be long-term holdings. It's just not going to happen. So,
well, unless they win, of course.
Yeah, I mean, but even if
they won.
No, but they might run the lineup back if they win. If you know what I mean.
Yeah, they might get baited into. But yeah, like I think this is like they have to win in order to preserve the team, and if they don't want to preserve, if they don't care about it, well then like you already have the answer what's going to happen in this split anyway. Like so.
By the way, that reminds me of something, because I never actually addressed like Trimby at all. I didn't really mention him. But one thing I would say, if you notice, he's someone in spring I was super hot on and I've cooled off like a motherfucker. And the reason why is this, Keire, because I actually think he's like a little bit of fool's gold. Like when you watch him play, as you said, in theory, one of the things that is insane about him, because remember, he's also like this is like his second year in fucking pro player. He has an absurd champion pool, except that's in BO1s. In BO1s, he can do anything. He can do any counter pick you want, any lane you want. So it looks amazing, right? The problem is, I know we've only got a short sample size, but when it's not even just playoffs. When he's in a big pressure game, though, there are certain picks will just make him play way worse. Even though he can clearly play that champion. That's why the Na'Vi shout's a good one, mate. That's exactly the sort of like walking a tightrope champion. I wouldn't want him playing in a playoff game. So that's why he's going to shit the bed on it and just fucking do something scared or fuck up. That's why last year when he was playing the locks, it was like, let's see if that comes out in the playoffs or not, mate. I don't know if that's going to fucking be your go-to lock in. Like, these are things that are pretty sort of fucking edgy as to whether you're going to play them. So the problem with that is if you get the rep of like you can play anything, like that's going to mean in draft you might paint yourself into a corner, as it were. Like, whereas actually I actually think that's a player where just pick all the fucking strong supports like now, mate. You don't need to do anything cute. Like, we don't need it in this team. So, and by the way, on the bigger topic, as you guys are looking to next year, another reason I think you've got to win now is this. These two splits also were ones where you benefited from, like, Mad Lions didn't even make playoffs. Vitality shits the bed. Like, Fnatic in the end was crap at the end. In this split, both Fnatic and Vitality super teams are failing. They're both all like, in this scenario, right? You're not going to get that in future years. Like, God forbid, by the way, next year, what I actually suspect might happens, which is G2 just say, keep the same team, but just sign upset or something. Like, it's going to be game over if that happens, boys. Like, you're not going to beat them if you're rogue. If they get that team and upset or something, like, it's just going to it's going to be over. So there's the other thing. Right now, it's really up in the air. As you say, the landscape's been wide open for the two splits. That's when you've got to come out and win if you're like the nervy team that could win. Because the next splits is going to be, you're just going to have to straight up be the best team completely.
Yeah.
How many dysfunctional teams do you need? Because that's why I think this opening game is a big statement game for Rogue. Because if you win this game, you can beat the teams that aren't named Fnatic, XL, and Misfits. You know what I mean? You can beat one of the people, G2 or Mad Lions, that are supposed to win the championship along with you. Because I feel like if Rogue goes into the lower bracket, I'm fucking terrified for them. Like, really, I think that could be super, like, dicey territory, that group of players playing down there. So I really hope they come out and they put their, like, best foot forward, and they play to their advantages, and they play to, like, the things that have consistently, like, won them games, and they do take Mad Lions, like, strengths seriously, and they don't just treat them like non-factors. You know what I mean? You can believe in your, like, strengths and adapt them to, like, what their opponent is trying to do in, like, context, and not forget yourself and not lose yourself in your identity as a team. Are these characteristics I've seen for Rogue before? Not really, but I hope they do it. So
this video was kindly supported by Kill Your Inner Loser, Ahmed Hadjou, Matt Pugnatio Rajcula, Paul Villa, Travis Goff, Adam Ochs, Animosity, Bot Pounder 420, Hades, Jensen Goh, Kovacevicd, Pacy, Tobias Bernasconi, Tosh, Thooorin, and as always, special thanks goes out to Jerky's Minion. Do you want to suggest a topic or a guest for my shows? Would you like to ask a question in my Patreon AMA? Maybe you want teasers, find out who the next Reflections guests are or upcoming talk show guests. Do you want to take part in one of those long donated discussions with me? Well, if any of the above or more sound interesting to you, put your money where your mouth is. Join the Illuminati today via the Patreon link in the description box below.